How's it going, everyone? And welcome to another episode of No Excuses with two of your favorite show hosts, Ara Still.
And Volacel and no Fenurian because he has been bushwhacked by the vicissitudes of his job again.
Uh,
Apparently, one of their drivers has managed to injure himself and lose his license or something like that. And so
well,
now Fern has to cover.
it must have been a pretty spectacular wreck if he lost his license in the process. That or he already had a bunch of points backed up that he didn't tell anybody about.
I would assume that when you employ a taxi driver, you check things like that.
Yeah, one would assume. So we're here. Vaul's got Monster Hunter Wilds now. He decided to scoop it, and I have thrown on the low rank gear I had that wasn't the most basic gray gear and equipped a couple weapons I have no idea how to play. Like, don't even know what the buttons do to come down to his hunter level, and we will whack in.
Yep, I picked it up earlier in the week because I got frustrated with trying to find like any good appearances that I could steal, and so I tried doing it myself, which had disastrous consequences. Nothing ended up the way I wanted, but then I got frustrated again and decided I couldn't be bothered trying to fix the problem.
Sneak attack.
So this one is much smaller than the last one I fought.
Yeah, I think that one in the story is guaranteed to be gold because Fern said his was gold too. Gold crown, that is. I have landed a grand total of one hit. Yeah.
I need to work out where everything is on my wheel. My wheel of
Oh, I just rejiggered the. They have thankfully one of the things that is a definitive improvement they made, surprisingly, is the item bar. Now is much easier to customize than it was in Rise and World, at least to reorganize it relatively quickly, and it's can set stuff in stacks that are similar. Oh, there we go. There's a concussion. Man, that focus attack hurts. Holy crap. So yeah, I know quite a bit more about the game now that I've had actually some time to play with it and look at the systems. Vol's still getting the ropes, so I can fast track him on how some of this work. But otherwise, we're just gonna do some low rank hunts while we do the show, and then he will eventually catch up to us.
you can break this thing's tail, right? But you can't cut it off,
Yeah,
right?
it's just a breakable part. There you go. It broke. I've clobbered this thing in the face as hard as I can. Two Palicos has made it so I haven't had to bust out a potion yet because they just keep healing us.
I did because he was pulverizing me. Also, my armor doesn't stop much incoming damage. Oh, I've got a friend.
That's okay. Yeah, I will talk about my impressions so far. Although I will caveat a lot of my experience with it is almost entirely low rank with only the start of high rank. So things may not reflect once upper high rank and master rank come out. And I have deliberately not looked up people's opinions on what they think of how things are going in the game. Punk, punk.
Well, the opinions of Monster Hunter players seem to be sort of in the same ballpark as uh, Ho-Yo fans in terms of usefulness and reliability.
Got that bonk. Palico, if you trap this thing right after I got the bonk, I'm going to be very mad. I'm surprised that head ain't broken yet. I have been bonking it like crazy. But yeah. So, um, I guess we can start with. I've spent a lot of time thinking about how I want to go over what I've done with World because it's the only thing I've done this.
Well, you can start if you want, if you're worried you'll lose what you were going to say.
No, I've been planning it throughout the week. There's a lot of things I want to talk about, but it will it can wait until we get to it. I'd rather you do your low rank stuff first, so I can make a make a jump off point there because a lot of the stuff I'm gonna say afterwards.
Hmm. But first of all, if you'd like to get involved with the show, you can do so by sending us email at noexcusesvtw@gmail.com. You can follow us on the Twitter at noexcusesvtw, or you can join us in the Discord server by clicking on the link provided underneath the show archive on YouTube, which is hopefully going to work automatically since Ari's not recording today.
Yeah. So there is no backup today, but it appears to be going fine on the stream, and the audio levels are reading as good. Obviously, the game has no sound because I don't copyright struck.
They wouldn't. They're not Nintendo. Surely they wouldn't.
I'm just gonna play it safe anyway. Cannot hit that wound. Ow. There we go. I can never tell what's been broken based on the use messages that you get because you see so many wound destroyeds on the monster that normally the notifications that I pay attention to have now just faded into the background.
Apparently, the whole wound system has become a source of major toxicity in the multiplayer, the sort of the general pool of multiplayer, because people have strong opinions on the way they ought to be used.
Yeah. So that's a system that's probably worth me going into a little bit first before we dive into your week on Monhun, and I'll preface it with this. Uh, Basically, whenever you do enough damage to a certain area of the monster, you'll create a wound in that spot. Oh, that's what I was trying to do. And that wound serves two functions basically. The first one is it becomes a weak point, a la Clutch Claw, and the second one is it becomes a target for focus attacks. And if you hit it with a focus attack, which for a good chunk of the weapons, some of them are different, is holding left trigger and then pressing right bumper, you will do a very powerful move that will do a lot of damage, but will pop all of the monster's currently active wounds. And if you pop enough wounds, you get a free stagger. But you have to, the more times you stagger it this way, the harder it is to pop them. He wasn't too bad. He's a bear. So the school of thoughts
Literally just a normal bear.
Yeah.
At least they didn't use Azeroth again.
It's a new bear. But yeah, so the school of thoughts are, I can imagine without even looking it up, it's people arguing whether to let the wounds stick and attack them naturally to get the bonus damage on normal attacks, and pop them eventually if you do enough damage to the wound itself with basic and normal attacks, or to go for the focus attacks for the big immediate damage and try to get the topple. And people apparently will have very different ideas on this, and for different weapons and different situations it can be different, which is the appropriate answer, also depending on what you're hunting. If you're hunting a type of monster that shows up in the Force Zone, for instance, that can heal wounds if you leave it long enough, you probably just want to pop them, for instance. But on something like this, yeah, I probably didn't need to be focused attacking the wounds every single time, but the big numbers are funny. So that's where we're at with the wound system. It really is all encompassing in this game. Not as bad as the silk vines, but it's pretty up there with how important it is to everything.
Well, It's not as bad as the silk binds in my opinion, because silk binds completely distorted the whole game experience.
Yeah, these do as well once you realize how they work. But yeah, it's the difference here is your move set isn't restricted by the wounds. You can still utilize them with just your normal move set, so it doesn't feel as bad. Even though the optimal answer is to abuse wounding the monster and to get uh enough wounds to focus attack and knock it down and do all that stuff. While that is very all encompassing if you're trying to be optimal for casual hunting, you don't have to worry about all that. You can focus attack when you want to, or you can just bop the things if you want to, and everything should be good. So it doesn't feel as bad as the things, even though they're an ever-present thing you do have to keep in mind when you're hunting monsters. And if you're playing dual blades, you're just going to make a million of them by accident anyway. So it's
So this is basically the opposite of what you said last week.
yeah. Uh, the part of that is because of my weapon. My main weapon is dual blades, which just make wounds like crazy and can abuse the focus attack system on those wounds. I last week I was not even using the focus attack system and just was making and popping wounds all over the place without even trying. Didn't have to aim, didn't have to look them up. And then I found out that the focus attack for dual blades allows you to do the buzzsaw without the normal restriction of having a cliff nearby that you can jump off of or a slope you can slide down. And the buzzsaw attack is stupidly powerful. And the whole reason it's stupidly powerful is because it was context limited to slopes. So that was a function of my weapon. As I've tried out other weapons like the switch axe, I've come to appreciate the stupid wounds even more, and come around on them to that actually they are kind of a big deal. So that's where
Are
we're
we
at with
still
it.
in the same lobby, or I don't even know what happened after the end of that quest?
We are. I was just talking to the forge lady, trying to see something about another weapon.
What's the hair beast's armor look like? Pretty horrific.
Yeah. So that's all I wanted to preface with, because the wound system is going to flow into no matter what aspect of the game we talk about. It's going to be session, I think. There's another aspect, but it can wait till my week. So your week, go.
Right. Starting at the start, I guess. So I finished the 3.1 plot in Star Rail. Overall, quite enjoyable. Um, they, hmm, I feel like they stuck the landing, but they stuck the landing in a reduced context, and by that I mean the game, the way the story was told this chapter was like bleeding and crying out to be more animated. Like contextually, a lot of stuff told by standing mannequins ended up being really you started to really notice it. Like most people, especially if they spend a lot of time playing, say, Final Fantasy 14, you can sort of mentally edit in a lot of contextual action without needing to have it explicitly animated. But unfortunately, it's just not quite working anymore for this. So there's a lot of stuff where if they had been more ambitious, they would have been able to get more effect telling an identical story. If like the uh the plot was identical, the um whatchamacallit, the dialogue was identical, the writing was identical, but all that they did was animate it a little bit more, it would have been more effective, generally more effective.
See, I see. Also, I posted a quest.
um but Yeah, overall, I felt like it was well told. It seems, based on the sort of opinions I've seen floating around, it seems like a lot of people, it seems to have been very divisive. A lot of people like really, really detested it, and I saw some people saying they quit the game over it, saying it was too boring. But I also know for a fact that there are people who don't read any of the text in Star Rail, which makes me wonder why they're playing it. But whatever floats your boat, I guess. Um, but yeah, the story I feel worked reasonably well, but it I felt like it was trying to cover a lot of miscellany at once. They had some really good kind of climactic sequences and so on and so forth, but all they really ended up doing in a lot of cases was underlining the difference between where they want to do a really cool moment and when they're not actively thinking about doing a really cool moment, and the sort of the gap in animation between the two.
I see.
But because they have some real sort of dramatic moments and badass moments and so on and so forth, but they are just that, they are moments. You see them for moments, and then it's back to same old, same old. And the actual content is good, but yeah, there's a there's some nice storytelling in there. Some nice sort of dangling of plot threads. Oh my goodness, I can't catch this thing. Every time I get my sword out, it runs away. And then it lifts its butt out of the way so that I can't hit it. Stop jumping around!
Ow.
Ugh.
But it butted me.
But generally speaking, I felt like it was reasonably good. It wasn't the most effective, the most dramatic writing. It wasn't as, I suppose it wasn't as like purposefully emotionally manipulative as some of the stuff that they attempted in Penacony either. But it was done reasonably well. I guess that a lot of it is that they're attempting to do something different in this one. As I've mentioned in the past, they explicitly said about their intention to focus on telling an epic that takes the entirety of 2025 to relate the whole story across 7 different patches. And that is all well and good, but this sort of the neatness of having more compact plot arcs, it forces them to not write, you know, like the 5th Harry Potter book.
Yeah.
Not the arcs themselves don't play out in dribs and drabs over the course of an extended period of time. The story has to have a start, a middle, and an end that is easily apprehended by the people who are the audience. So yeah, I'm a bit concerned that it's going to end up running into that sort of problem.
Yeah.
But
I haven't touched it at all
God,
yet. So
yeah, I'm sort of I'm sort of interested to get your take on it when you've got time, because something about it feels quite jank, but I haven't been able to put my finger on exactly what it was that I thought seemed a bit off. But overall, I still enjoyed it. It wasn't as hype because I feel like it was continuing a bunch of loose threads rather than, starting anything, or um, the climaxes were relatively low key. They were sort of like the resolution was not done in the way of, oh, this big dramatic thing happened, nobody knows what's going to happen next, there's a big moment and so on, it's a big build up and then a big finale. No, it was the resolution of things that were under tension at the end of the previous chapter and the beginning of things that now need to be explained in a foregoing chapter.
yeah.
So yeah, it was sort of a piece of joining material between 2 major pieces of storytelling, and their whole stories in there, like, very significant amount of Triby's story is told in there, and there's still clearly resolution that could be done on that story, but you sort of get the whole of it because to some extent with Triby is the first of the Chrysos heirs to ascend to demigodhood, which means that she's the first of them who has sort of almost had to pay in full for the consequences of choosing that path, whereas the others, they haven't really had to face that yet. Aglaya's getting there. Like she comments at one point in 3.1 about how she can feel that she's paying the price. I mean, there's part of the reason why she's so unpopular with certain segments of the fandom is just because of how cold she is. But Aglaya basically outright says that her personality decaying into sort of like coldness and just the lack of empathy is part of the price she's paying to be a demigod. Now, it seems that it's different for each of them. Like, nobody ever accuses Triby of being cold, but she has a totally radically different but still very steep price to pay for her power, and that is played out in 3.1. But that's sort of almost a coda to the broader story. And it's sort of hard to tell whether, like, Mighty's story is actually finishing for the time being, or in the middle, or just after the climax, or what. Like, because we know that the broader story is going to be so long, you don't really get a good read on what is he actually up to. Not really sure. But generally speaking, it was a good chapter, but it felt like a joining chapter, which, I mean, it is chapter 2. Chapter 2 is always a joining chapter, no matter what kind of story you want to tell, usually. But yeah, it was all right. I didn't dislike any particular part of it. I don't think there was any part of it that stood out to me as sort of like annoyingly out of tone with everything else or anything like that. It was worthwhile. They by the end of it, I felt like the black screen count was under control. They didn't abuse it too much.
Okay.
The like, I would say probably 3/4 of the black screens that actually got used were literally just saying "meanwhile elsewhere" type of thing.
That's
Which
fine.
is, I think, it's an acceptable use for them to mark a scene change, especially if you're in a sort of RPG setting where you're going to be using visual design cues to indicate location. Like, most places in Amphorius look like most other places in Amphorius, aside from a couple of exceptions. So indicating that, oh, you're in a different part of the same city is going to be easier done with a black screen than just, like, showing up there and expecting people to pick up on the scene change. So I feel that it works all right. They did include a slightly higher number of just sort of still frame CGs to kind of make up for that. Which I think is an acceptable way of doing it. It's not an ideal way of doing it. In an ideal world, you would just animate everything, but we can't have everything we want. Hopefully they'll move in that direction, though, the way that Genshin has. Although Genshin still makes use of the CGs, as we saw in the recent event. The main event for the patch, the Awu firm, is quite a short event. I just got kicked.
Right.
Yes, I'll try again. It's quite short if you sit down and do it all. Like, it's not going to take you very long at all. It might take you an hour, maybe less. It's much in the mold of the one about decorating your room, in the sense that you can just sit down and do it all if you want. It's not going to really do anything to prevent you from doing that. It's short. It's silly. It's basically just serves the purpose of having you spend some time hanging out with Hyacine more than anything else. Since obviously they're going to introduce her probably in 5.3. What number are we up to? 3.3. They're probably going to have her introduced there, and so they're giving you some time to hang out with her, type of thing, effectively. So the mini game is quite simple, but it's fun to do, and it's not the event is not so long that it outstays its welcome. So I feel like it's kind of the reverse of RPG Fault in that way. That the mechanic works, the mechanic's interesting, the mechanic you don't get long enough to get really sick of it. It's basically, how do I explain it? It's quite simple. You have a set of tasks that your chimeras need to do, and you put them in a squad in order, and each chimera will have like an amount of work that it can do per attempt, and an amount of stamina that it's got to spend on attempting to do work. And the tasks have a certain amount of work required for completion. And starting with the first one in the line, they will attempt to do their work. And so, they will spend, some amount of stamina to do the amount of work required, and they'll add that to the progress bar. And then each of them will have their own little where are you at? How do I see you on the map?
Just when you're on your secret, just tap uh, L1 and up again.
L1. Okay, your L1 clearly does something very different from mine.
Oh, I might have it swapped. It's pulls up the shortcut wheel, right stick
Right.
shortcut wheel, and then for me it's up on the D-pad, but I might have swapped that. It
Up
may
on the D-pad is sharpen weapon.
okay. Whatever button is mount secret while you're already mounted on the whatever button combo.
Okay. Anyway, um, so basically each one will have different traits. Like they'll either be basic ones which have. Oh, where's my scout flies? Have all just vanished.
If you just take your finger off the stick when you do that, it'll run straight to the monster.
The so some of them are basic ones. They just have different combinations of the amount of stamina they have and the amount of work that they do, and so on and so forth. But other ones will have special abilities. Like one of them will get stronger. Will get stronger the more chimeras it sees get tired in the team ahead of it before it gets its turn, and so on and that. So they will have a variety of different abilities, and you basically want to synergize them together to create teams that are going to be able to accomplish the work objectives. Now, this is fun if you play it properly. The thing is, it really they don't force hand holding on you. However, the amount of assistance you can get from the game in order to ensure that you are successful is a little bit absurd. Like it will basically, after a certain point, it will just give you all of the appropriate synergies that you currently have access to that it thinks will be useful. So you can basically have the game make the team for you if you really want to. Like if for that portion of the player base that sincerely seems to appear to be brain dead, I guess that's actually really useful. But for normal people, it's way too much.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous amount of overkill in terms of the help they give you. Like at least try and think. This is not complicated. Like the the friggin' card game in Genshin is like 1,000 times more complicated than a thing like this. So yeah, it's oops, I accidentally started cooking in the middle of combat because I didn't take the barbecue grill off my square button. I thought it was something else, and I did it again because I was talking about it. But yeah, it's. Why did it just sit down?
Because I focused attack.
Oh, okay. It just looked like it decided to sit down and have a bit of a rest.
Yeah, I was waxing the tail. Got it on tier 1 broke, and then popped the wound, the focus damage to it. Should have it almost off.
I've been attacking it as well. Actually, this is one thing. While this is going on, I don't know what it looks like on your screen, but on my screen, fire is really faint.
It's this guy's fire right now is really faint. It depends on when. Like, yeah, there's no fire there. Oh, not almost looking weak. Dang it, we got to get that tail off. How is that thing?
Poisoning it, it's not the way.
Oh, I don't. It might be my thing poisoning it. My swatch. I think the basic ore one is a poison one. Because I went down to a rank 2 swatch and put away the hammer because we were stun locking the poor Lullabrina or whatever it was. Couldn't even move. Don't want to amp elemental discharge because I don't want to kill the thing, but it would get the tail off if it could survive.
Yeah, but if it dies when the tail has one more break hit point left on it,
yeah,
we'll be knackered. Spin on the spot.
Ow. Okay, we got it off. Okay, now we can kill the motherfucker.
Right. Yeah. So it was a fun little game to play. Not really the sort of scope that I expected for a the main event of a patch, but the patch seems to have mainly been focused on the story anyway. So yeah, I've more or less sort of finished building Chibi now to the point where she's got at least all of the main stats that I want, which took a very, very long time and an awful lot of spamming fuels just to get, of all things, a planar ornament orb which had HP on it. Because she scales with HP. Normally, you can't move for HP orbs. Guess what I couldn't get any of? And of course, Triby scales functionally due to the gear that she prefers. She scales inversely with speed. And naturally, I got an HP orb with speed on it. So I can't use that. So I really felt like I was being actively trolled. But yeah, she's done now, and I was able to use her to great success in the current Apocalyptic Shadow, although I have to say that the current Apocalyptic Shadow is exceptionally easy if you... Because they've trotted out the TV squad again, and if you already have a solution to the TV squad, nothing has changed.
I have Jade now, but I don't know if that's going to be a solution to the TV squad. It'll help.
But yeah, because the first side is Apocalyptic Shadow Aventurine, and the second side is TV Squad. Apocalyptic Shadow's version of Aventurine is much easier than the Memory of Chaos one for me. Much easier. It doesn't immediately screw you if you can't do AoE with all your characters. So yeah, that was not too difficult compared to my normal escapades trying to deal with Aventurine, which is normally Aventurine just makes me cry tears of blood every time I have to fight him in A Memory of Chaos, but not so with the Apocalyptic Shadow one. So Apocalyptic Shadow was relatively straightforward this time. I didn't run into any snags. I was able to quite neatly 3-star the fight without any worries, which was good because it meant I didn't have to spend an excessive amount of time figuring it out instead of attempting to play Monster Hunter Wilds. So moving on to Monster Hunter Wilds then, because I basically didn't really play much in the way of ZZZ or Genshin. Like, they're both sort of pottering along. I think I've got like 52,000 polychrome at the moment. So I'm just sort of waiting for NB Pro Max to show up at this point. But and in Genshin, I'm just sort of pottering along. They had a combat based event, which caused a lot of the population to rage because it's reasonably difficult. I would say that it's not actually that difficult. It's more that your rotation needs to be extremely tight. And I just couldn't be bothered practicing it to get good enough to do it. I feel like I've probably got the roster that can do it, apart from maybe the Anemo one, because my best Anemo character is Lanyan, and she has no constellations and kind of needs them. So I don't really have a good team for that one. But for the other ones, I can more or less do them. It's just that it wasn't worth the effort, in my opinion, because the pinnacle award for clearing because there's like, what is it? I think it's like there's there's 125 stages, and you need to clear 100 of them to get the best reward, which is a name card. But I don't care. Who cares about name cards? Seriously, you need to clear very little of it to get the not polychromes, the primogems. So yeah, it was primogem country for me. I think I cleared like 97, and you need like 100 to get the name card. But even if I was a person who cared about name cards, I don't think it would really endear you to the population, so much of the population sees the event as just a way of making people who don't have Malvika and Sitlali jelly, because way too many of the stages benefit disproportionately much from Sitlali and Malvika. Like, as if those characters weren't powerful enough, they really lean into their strengths. So yeah, that event is not the sort of content I care about, to be totally honest. The current event I have not attempted. Apparently it is a fishing event with co-op, but I haven't attempted it. Apparently it's just basically you throw different sized nets at fishes and try and get them or something like that. I haven't tried it, so anyway.
I've been on hiatus, so I've not been doing any of the events. So what would usually be the call Ari, because it's fishing, I am not there.
I didn't bring any deodorant.
uh,
Does the
the,
secret have any? Oh, the
yeah,
secret's got two.
yeah, we should be okay. Will it?
I always thought that the day I had never fought a Congalala outside of Monster Hunter stories, and I was under the impression that they were mainly dangerous on the rear end. I did not realize they're just as bad at the front.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Monster Hunter Wilds. I bought it earlier in the week. I spent about an hour attempting to do character creation. Got basically nowhere. I'm already stinky. My goodness. Got basically nowhere, and then it had no more time to touch anything for the rest of the week. So I basically started it essentially today, just before the show, which is why we're fighting, monkeys and chickens instead of dragons. But it's basically an inevitable consequence of the way Monster Hunter works. But yeah, so far it's been I've basically found it to be very similar to World, with a lot of the things that were just irritations in World filed off. Like the ability to just decide that you're going to go for a bit of a wander and then turn the monster that you just encountered into a quest on site is quite a nice quality of life sort of thing. If you didn't really have much in particular in mind that you wanted to do, you just wanted to play some Monster Hunter, I quite like that. I can sort of see focus mode being really, really offensive to purists, but as a diehard great sorter who doesn't care about being a purist about it, because I'm just not that serious about Monster Hunter generally, it is a godsend.
Oh, because it lets you free turn.
Way fewer, way fewer whiffs. Well, it's not even just the whiffs. Like, once you've got experience, a sufficient amount of experience at great sorting, you tend not to whiff very much. it's more that it's actually more that your the changes that having focus mode makes to your logic about when to go in basically means you have to you end up taking less stupid risks because it's much easier to identify what is a valid opportunity. Whereas you've got to be extraordinarily cautious and end up running out the clock if you're unlucky, without focus mode at times. It's not. I'm not just not to say it's always like that. Like I feel like the great sword is generally a well favored weapon by the devs, but I found that I've made a lot less idiotic mistakes because I know focus mode is there, so I am sort of mentally assessing, is this a good time in the context of focus mode existing? Whereas before it's like, oh well, I mean, I'm going to go on this because this is likely to be the best chance I've got while the monster's not moving. The idea that moving is no longer a hard counter to greatsword makes me happy.
Yeah. It's focus mode has a whole lot of benefits for a ton of weapons that some of which I really like. In fact, most of the weapons I played, I've liked it in, but I am worried that it comes with too much of a hidden cost to it, and just it remove in terms of removing some of the identity of the weapon by removing its weaknesses. This is uh like I mentioned with dual blades, it's not as egregious there because uh dual blades still pretty much behaves like dual blades. But it it removes the condition for our strongest attack and just makes us able to do it whenever. And it the damage that pumps out when we're currently bugged question mark we don't know. Um and we're at middle of the pack when we currently don't have the usual benefits we get from I'll mount it with you from our elemental damage bonuses in demon mode. Uh that's a little scary. Being able to pop one and get all of my meters charged up on Switch Axe. I don't know about that. uh you know, if it didn't have the wound system, or specifically the focus attack system, I don't mind the wound system. If they didn't tie the wound system into the core gimmicks of the weapon, I would probably have nothing but praise for the system. But because every single weapon I've tried, the wounds and focus attack combo with focus mode make the weapon so much stronger that you just don't have to worry about it's a bunch of their normal weaknesses or their positioning requirements. It's I'm worried because
Yeah,
if
well, I mean, I suppose the problem is that the easy solution to that is to just turn the enemies into empty hit point sponges rather than interesting fights. Because oh well, what can you do as far as monster mobility is concerned if everybody is able to adapt to it super easily? But I'm not that concerned about it yet. But I mean, I'm only playing in low rank, so maybe those issues will become more manifest later. Um, I can understand the point of view because, like, I deeply disliked the effect that wire bugs had on the greatsword because it removed the mobility issues of greatsword. You could move just as fast as everybody else because everybody was moving using wire bugs. The fact that you were a slow mover with your weapon and sheath sort of ceased to be a thing. And I can sort of see how this is reflects a similar type of issue. But most of the things that it has ameliorated that I've experienced so far have been things that I felt were obnoxious rather than you know identity driving. I can sort of, and it is also like the focus attack in and of itself I feel like, because Greatsword is basically all I've had time to play so far. I feel like it's useful to Greatsword because it actually gives you an attack which allows you to use Elemental. Because
Yeah,
Greatsword did not have any weapons like that, but any abilities like that before. Because Elemental depends on the number of hits you can get, and now Greatsword has an attack that does a large number of small hits instead of just big hits.
yeah,
So you could say, oh, well, that causes a decrease in the identity of Greatsword because now you've got a little damage multi-hit attack, which Greatsword has never had before. It's not part of the identity of Greatsword. Well, yeah, but it also gives you access to a mechanic that you simply couldn't use before. Like there was every Monster Hunter game had like 50% of the weapon list were basically unusable for Greatsword
yeah.
because they wasted item budget on Elemental.
Yeah, in that case, I don't really mind mechanically what it is, adding a multi-hit move to Greatsword to allow access to the elemental side of the weapon tree for build diversity if you just want to play around with elements. You still won't be as optimal as like a dual blades with proper elements, but you're not meant to be. It doesn't hurt them that much. It just gives you the option to use that play mode if you want. You're not stealing anything from your fast weapons like dual blades by having access to that side of the tree. That's one I don't think is a big deal. The ones that bug me more are like the switch axe, because hitting the focus attack on a weak point recharges your meters, and this, except for dual blades, is pretty much the case for all of them. Secret, where are you going? Why are we going through town?
Sacred goes where Sacred wants.
But yeah, basically my big complaint is the ones that charge the meters of the weapon and let you circumvent the build up portion of the kits and go right into the heavy stuff. Like Hammer wasn't that bad, although it did lead to on poor Lullabarina, they didn't get a chance to move. I forget if this guy's tail can come up. I think it
It can.
can go. Tail either. Acided me. But yeah, it's the ones that let them circumvent the entire build up portion, and with the frequency that wounds can appear, especially in multiplayer, might count as the tail. I don't know. Pull that down.
Evidently not. I think it's the ones underground you can pull down. I didn't eat a freaking
Thing.
steak, so that's why I fell off the monster because I had no stamina.
Oh well, I'm not super worried. Like right now, I'm totally out of juice. But if I'm in axe mode here, walk up to this guy's head where he's got a wound, get knocked away, and bop it, I should get all my juice back. Assuming I can hit it. Hang on, I'm not used to movement. There we go. And there we go. Got all my sword juice back. I can now go right into sword mode, and my axe mode is juiced as well. Like, that's the kind of thing that makes me worried. Because it lets you just circumvent what used to be a very core part of the weapon, of that downtime building up to the big hit, and just go straight back into your power mode.
Well, I guess what will matter is how often you can actually make wounds when it comes to high rank monsters and tempered monsters.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Because it
hoping.
might be that they just have a lot of wound resistance or something like that.
Yeah, I would imagine they do. I did notice matching weapon grades of what's appropriate for the monster rank you're hunting. Wounds do appear less and less and require more hits and more damage on a spot the higher up in rank you go, and hopefully that gets quite high later. Because even at the intro to high rank, it's still too high. I just talked you up as a tail chopping machine, and you cannot chop tail to save your life. part of that is user error. But yeah.
Oh my goodness, I cannot hit with this to save my life.
Ow. So yeah, there we go. Now we're on the tail. So does the other than the multi-hit, does the Great Sword's focus attack do anything extra or special for you? To give you any kind of buff?
I have not noticed it doing any such thing. It doesn't necessarily mean that it does, since it doesn't. That since Monster Hunter is not well known for its clear documentation of what any given thing does.
Ain't that the truth?
So the it's basically it's such an art to use it anyway that because if you want to get it to pay off, you have to position yourself just perfectly, because it requires you to sort of like run along the side of a monster type of thing, sort of like a ground bound version of the dual blades. So it's I don't know what it does, because mainly I've been focused on attempting to successfully land the damn thing.
See. Oh. Anybody gonna tell our palicos they didn't need to drop a shock trap there? Monster was already on its way down. Yeah. So yeah, we'll have to see with it. Oh, there's tail. X.
Oh, I got water blighted.
Carve that tail before I forget.
All right. Tail carving. I feel like tails shrink when they come off a monster.
I have got that impression a few times. So, interesting bug. The game does have bugs on launch. Although the only gameplay altering one I've run into was incredibly hilarious. A monster, an old friend who's a returning monster, I won't say who, was moving and jumping on a wall. And I took his tail off the frame he hit the wall. He did not appreciate this very much and started wigging the F out. And he was like doing a full run animation sideways and vertical and couldn't do any attacks and was just running between two plants he was stuck on because his pathing wouldn't let him get out. So there are still some bugs floating around here. But yeah. So general impressions so far from the game. What do you think of just in a general sense what you played so far of low rank? I know low rank's not a lot to go off of here, but
Uh, I the main thing that I have good impressions of is that I am happy to be back in this sort of the ecology style design of stages, rather than the basically arcade style design that was essentially everything in Rise. Because Rise didn't have anywhere near as much charm for me as World, and the predominant reason for that I found was simply that it felt like a game. It didn't feel like you were actually hunting a monster in the forest. I don't know how I feel about the hand holding of scout flies just take you directly to the monster. No actual hunting is required. They just direct you to the objective. It feels a little bit Ubisoft.
yeah. So this is the other thing I was going to get to later. That's going to run over the entirety of the game. I feel this game is one of the more video gaming ones, and might even be more video gaming than Rise, despite the fact that it nominally has an open world. And the reason for that is there is literally no reason to explore this open world. Not that I've encountered anyway. And this is very unfortunate because unlike the previous games, literally everything is marked on your map from the get-go.
I thought that was just my imagination or something, but no, it really did seem to be the case.
Yeah, there's nothing to find out here. You don't get to go run around and spend, there's about 10 to 20 hours of time I really enjoyed running around in the open world, finding all the good places to farm herbs and stuff. No. You don't have to do any of that. You don't have to hunt the monsters and gather the tracks and learn the most efficient routes they take to get your scout flies going. No, none of that. All you got to do is get on your secret and press the get on secret button again, and you get taxied right to the monster.
That was exactly the way it was in Iceborne, and I criticized it in Iceborne. I have the same criticism here.
Yeah. In Iceborne and in World in general, I didn't like the animal there, but at least the animals were clunky enough that it was sometimes just faster if you knew the way there, or less frustrating to run to it. In this game, there is no reason not to just take the taxi. And it feels really bad. Like, why is this open world even here? Like, yeah, we'll be able to use it. Us in particular, the people that want to just, make a lobby with their friends and don't care what they hunt and just want to go punch stuff. It'll work for that. So it works for us. But if you ain't doing that and you actually are targeting hunts, what's the point of the world? Because there's nothing to find out here. It's all marked.
Well, I mean, I guess that was the argument in favor of it as well, though. That's the thing. Like, this is basically the same phenomenon, give or take, as can I skip the story in Star Rail?
Yeah.
The people playing these games are not playing them for the purpose for which they were designed, but their $125 is worth exactly the same amount as everybody else's $125.
Yeah.
I mean, you watched you were the one who linked it, so I presume you watched Lucy Pyre's video on Final Fantasy. It's not different.
Yeah,
it's the same thing.
I know. It's just it bugs me. That guy actually took a while to take down because I couldn't keep latching onto him.
No, it was because I was attempting to use the heavy bowgun, and I have no idea how to use the heavy bowgun in this game. It's radically different.
Oh, I see.
Because the whole weapon has basically been overhauled around the wound system.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I can whip the insect glaive out. It's not like I'm in a worse position than anybody else coming out after World and Rise. Thing gets reworked every game or every other game, and changed for this one too.
You want to play some paintball?
Rank 2. Do I have a rank 2 can I do?
Can I even craft anything else? No, there's no heavy bow guns apart from sodding Cheddarcabra and Congalala.
I make a rank 2 glaive, because rank 3 is... I had to downrank everything to rank 2. Rank 3 was too much. This rarity 2. I have not crafted it yet. Another poison one. No, this one's a sleep one.
Ziz. Store some things. I mean, whether a Monster Hunter game is good or not is very much a product of, like, how does it stick over a long period of time. It's not something that I can really assess after playing it for 3 hours, which is about the total amount of time I've spent, not counting character creation, of course. But Yeah, I mean, I like the environment designs. It didn't take me too long to get acceptable performance out of it, but for me, that basically means that it looks indistinguishable from World, which means over the past 7 years, I've gained nothing because their optimization has just simply fallen by an equivalent amount. So,
You're playing a world side grade.
yeah, it very much looks like a side grade to me. Who knows how much of the grunt of my system is simply tied up in rendering all the entirety of the world all at once. But and I have had a few alarming sequences where I load in and everybody is made out of, you know, early PSX polygons. Looks
Oh,
like a Crash Bandicoot.
yeah, everybody turns into Super Mario 64 characters.
That would be generous.
Yeah, there's a few screenshots of the apex monster for the desert area, and he just looks hilarious when he renders poorly and it wigs out and he gets stuck in N64 mode because he's made of like four triangles.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything that I find is particularly offensive about it. I think though that I don't really feel like there have been anything that I'd say is an unalloyed gain, apart from the fact that I like having the focus attack as an attack rather than as a mechanic for the great sword. I think I would have just been just as happy if it was just an expansion pack for World, to be totally honest.
Yeah, and then we wouldn't have to do performance jumping. We wouldn't have to run with frame gen on. Oh, you may be wondering why the sudden you can see my frame counter up there and it's constantly between 80 and 100. Um, I had when I was mucking around with VR, turned hardware acceleration off on my GPU by accident, and this means you can't turn on frame gen. So I did not have frame generation turned on. So that's why my performance was so much worse than Fern's. Like, how the heck are you getting this at 1440p when I can only get 40 at 1080? Oh, frame gen ain't on. Oops.
Yeah, I I have mine capped because I don't really want my office to sound like an airstrip.
Yeah, it will not start really turning the gears on that thing unless I settle in an environment with a lot of heavy weather effects, and it stays over 100 FPS for about 5 minutes.
Is frame rate display an in-game option or an
I use the Steam overlay for it.
oh, I don't really want to get an overlay to work there.
Actually,
I'll leave that well enough alone.
it's not the normal overlay button. It's in here. Uh,
Steam overlay is bad.
yeah,
Doesn't Nvidia have one?
yeah. There's a zillion ways to turn it on. Whoops. Gummit.
I'm not sure I want to know what my frame rate is anyway.
Yeah, I go to the Steam library overlay and go to in game, and then if you scroll down or go to the Steam library, go to Steam settings, in game is a tab on there, and then in game FPS counter and set it to high contrast.
Let's see. If I turn it on. Yeah, so mine's sitting at about 50, 40, just doing nothing. What if I just uncap it and let it go hog wild? Please stand still, Sacred. Making me dizzy.
Press that R2 button.
Can't it just default to standing still?
I have
Is there anything
tried
wrong with that?
I have tried to find that option and it just ain't there. I don't remember the Palamute doing this. Going off and wandering.
Yeah, uncapping the frame rate gave me about 3 frames or something. So
Yeah, I've been able to run it at high, so it looks a little bit better than World, but I am not a visual fidelity person. Also, I posted a quest.
uh, Sacred, please stand still. I'm trying to use the menu.
Got to remember to pump the brakes on it before you can open the menu.
Uh,
But yeah. Also, I mentioned this in passing earlier, but you may notice, despite only having a week, I'm already 130 rank 35, and you probably haven't seen me online playing every single day.
I
It
haven't even looked at my computer, so I wouldn't know what you're doing.
well, the reason it's so high is because you know all the little optional quests you get around that unlock as you're in the hunter rank grind in at high rank
No.
in all the games. Like you know how you would run around
Oh,
like
yeah, you mean the menu selectable quests?
yeah, those give seem to give a ton more experience towards hunter rank than normal.
Well, I haven't done those either, largely because I haven't solved the Congalala problem yet. Because there are like 3 freaking smoke nuts in that entire zone, or something like that. So I don't know how I could ever get enough deodorant to do that freaking fight.
Hopefully, you can just bop the low rank one enough that you never have to do them again. Thankfully, it does not appear that yoinking yoinking materials with your claw steals it from other players. Looks like
No,
everybody's.
everybody's got their own.
That would be the ultimate way to troll somebody. Just run a little bit to the side of them and just wink all their thunderbugs and crap.
I still do dumb things like stand directly in front of things and still try and use the claw.
So
Why are we bullying this poor schlub?
I was just doing all of them. Okay, what's the send insect out button? Okay, go bug. Turn bug. Go bug. Bug. Where's his toes? His toes count.
My oh my.
You have any idea how hard it is to hit this guy's toes?
No,
Oh,
no, I don't.
there we go. We got it.
Oof. I'm doing this wrong. Clearly doing this wrong.
Oh man, I just that focus attack uses the bug. That's man, that bug's a beast. Get him, bug. So yeah, this is literally the first monster in the game. So he's just gonna. I was just going down the list of all the optional quests so you can get them out of your log and get or get them marked as complete. So Fern, you're with us.
I am. I'm sneaking in. So how goes the monster huntings?
Uh, we are. I'm experimenting with new weapons. I think Vaul's playing with a heavy bowgun. Uh,
Nice.
and we're just doing the low rank stuff that Vaul has access to, which is everything up to Dashagamuth.
It looks like they've removed needing to craft the basic ammos.
Yeah, all the
Yeah,
Nice, because I actually put off using heavy bowgun for quite a while until I realized that, because I usually only pick it up later on when I've got a good supply of items and money to actually craft with, which meant that I was always bad at heavy bowgun because I can't use it early game because I got no resources to make ammo.
Yeah. They've done the same thing with the elemental powders on the bow.
Yeah, the elemental powders on the bow, there isn't coatings at all aside from the special ones, right? All the other ones are now like trick shots or something.
Some of them
I
are trick
haven't
shots,
looked
others
at it.
they're still there, but you build up a gauge by just fighting and then you apply them.
We are
So-
bullying this poor guy. He didn't ask for
I
this.
can't join you.
Oh, you can't join the
I'm
squad
literally
lobby?
shooting him in the bum.
I'm in the squad lobby. It just won't let me join the hunt.
Oh, because I might not have enabled hunt in progress. I think there's an option I gotta turn on for that. This thing's skull flashing almost dead. So
You had to go and bully a toad, didn't you?
yeah. Oh.
I kind of feel a little bit bad for Chattercarbra, honestly, because if you're not out
Yeah,
there specifically hunting the thing, he's just kind of just around the place chilling.
It must really suck to be like the first monster on day one of a Monster Hunter game. It's like every man and their dog are lining up to bully the crap out of you.
Yeah. When all you want to do is just wander around.
He's just lumbering through, living his frog life, and in we
Yeah.
come, cracking open his skin and infecting it with bugs and shooting him full of bullets.
It's not even like the other Monster Hunter game first monsters. Like he doesn't want to attack. He just wants to just hang out.
I don't think I've ever had him attack me on sight. He must have the slowest auto aggro possible.
They eat things like those bugs that I hate.
Yes.
I'll tell you what, they've got some nasty looking bugs in this game. Like the insects are really gross.
Yeah, like they got those big arachnid thingies with the hairy butts. And Vespoids. Vespoids always have a special place in everyone's heart. For hatred.
They actually seem to be a little less aggressive than they were in World. They'll still annoy you and make you wonder if they're actually going to sting you by just hovering around you while you're carving a monster. But
they don't. It's not like guaranteed paralyze at a critical moment anymore.
It's something about them just doesn't feel as annoying as World, or maybe I've just compartmentalized them in my head as a thing that exists and don't even think about them anymore.
Like previous games, they'd hang around just outside your field of vision and wait for the most critical moment of a combo and just zoom in and paralyze you. Every time.
Yeah, so I've gone and crafted a whole bunch of rarity 2 versions of a bunch of weapons, so I don't super overscale the hunts. Not that it matters, it's low rank, but they won't die instantly.
Nice.
Unless your name's Lalabarina and I'm using a hammer, then you can't get up.
I've also noticed there's a distinct lack of monster parts showering everywhere while you fight.
Yeah.
For the most part, those go straight into your pocket.
I've also noticed that broken part rewards aren't on the screen at the end. They show up when you break the part.
Yeah, and there are other types of broken part rewards that appear to, rather than be quest rewards, the ones that do drop to the ground appear to turn into ammo for your slinger.
Yeah, and
a lot of them do. Yeah,
it's usually one shot of a really powerful piece of ammo, like the super piercing rounds or the big blunt ammo, which I can never ever land. It takes so long for that thing to load and fly through the air when you pick it up.
Yep. The only time I've really seen an actual useful material drop to the ground has been the result of a turf war.
Yeah, I have seen like one or two.
Yes, if you're, I think I've seen. I think that it's because there's no agent associated with it. Because even if you use the environment to hurt a monster, you still get credit if you're the one that triggered the event. They'll still go straight into your bags. But if a monster does it independently in the world, well, that can happen if you're not even there to see it. So I guess they can't just give it to you.
They'll drop it on the ground if you happen to be nearby witnessing it, but they're not a Blico. Did you get that link party invite, Fern?
I should do. Yeah, in typical Monster Hunter fashion, the oh, there you are, invitation list. It's down there. Yeah, multiplayer isn't as seamless as it could be.
We managed to be getting it to mostly work with the squad lobby, doing the heavy lifting. But yeah. Apparently, if you don't use the squad lobby method that we tried, was like the first thing we tried when we had problems last week. It totally falls apart.
Yeah, the fact that the game also, while you're doing the story, it seems like it's actively discouraging you from teaming up.
Oh, it wants to railroad you through that story so hard.
Yeah.
Aside from the normal locking out of quests, you just won't be able to go to certain towns and do stuff or pick up yellow side quests.
Mm-hmm.
Vaul, what monster do you want to make? What armor set you of the ones you can hunt?
Low rank sets. Let's
see. Pick one you think looks pretty.
What I actually do? I don't really want to do this. We'll do the Lalabrina one has recovery up on it.
Okay.
So
I need that one's parts to make I got all that. Oh, Fern, do you have a rarity 2 weapon?
Do hang on a sec.
The weapon you have equipped is an absolute abomination.
Yes,
So
but
you've
it's an
got to say for
effective
your buffer.
abomination. That poison is quite nice.
It almost ruined our tail chopping exploits earlier.
Oh,
I had a wax, and it was the basic ore tier or rarity 2 one, and that has poison built into it. And we almost bopped the dude so hard that we didn't have time to chop the tail.
so yeah, this one is a rarity 3.
Yeah, 3 I found was too much.
Yeah,
I'm still using rarity 1 of everything, so
Yeah, so
that's okay. I'll let me figure out a rarity 2 while I'm here.
I can't even make any rarity 2 things. I don't have any materials at rarity 2.
No. Upgrade that to also rarity 1. All right. Unfortunately, I'm not as far in this game as I'd like to be because, life.
Yeah, I played like 3 hours because life.
Well, in my case, it's life in Skyrim because damn I am absorbed in VR Skyrim.
uh,
With
Except
the
not as
assistance
absorbed as I
of
could be.
with the assistance of the fan modders, I presume.
Oh my yes.
Because from what I have heard, it's not particularly absorbing outside of a context where it actually works.
Yeah. I mean, if there's a villager who annoys me, I want to grab them by the cheeks and shake them.
all right, I downgraded to rarity 1 hammer.
Okay. I will use try a rarity 1 gun lance. I want to see what they've actually changed with gun lances on this one.
It's apparently got a ton of new crap that makes it. The charge blade players are mad at lance and gun lance players because the lance and gun lance players are able to perform as well as they can.
Yeah, I know. Like
Yeah.
Lance is significantly better. It's a lot of fun to play.
Yeah,
So
I
you
don't
don't
know
feel
what
like
these
you're
rules are.
actually fighting with a knitting needle anymore.
Oh, you still are. Like you're still going to be doing a whole lot of poking, but you can turn and poke. The turn is important.
also, Fern, the quest is posted if you go to wherever
Oh,
in the
yep.
UI that hangs out.
I haven't made
Well,
any
my game is currently at the oil town. I forget what it's actually called, but it's on fire. So yeah, that town's a pain at the best of times.
Yeah,
Everything is so spread out.
yeah.
I
Well,
have 2 minutes of meal left. If I up another meal, it will just overwrite the previous one, won't it?
yep.
Yep.
But you get enough rations that it does. I saw 20. Bye.
Ding. Actually, I should probably go and collect my
Oh right, you
food.
can just get free rations, can't you?
Yep,
from
just go
the-
talk to the cat or to the support cat.
Yeah, you talk to Ingredient Cat here, or if you're not in this town, talk to Support Desk Cat. He'll let you teleport in the rations from Chef Cat.
Sadly, though, this game kind of falls down on the excessively elaborate cooking.
Yeah. Also, the food buffs seem like they're too much of a pain in the butt, honestly, to go for the big ones.
Yeah, though one food buff will last you multiple hunts.
Yeah, on low rank and early high rank, but I'm hoping that once we get to like tempered monsters, we're back to 20-minute hunts.
You'll be back to one food per
Tempered
one
frenzy. Tempered
Tempered
dragons.
frenzy, yes.
So, Fern, what was the last thing you hunted in the story?
Apparently I've just disconnected from the lobby. I just finished hunting a very angry exploding monkey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm actually the disc 1 boss with all the tentacles.
Okay. So,
I haven't actually fought the thing yet, though. Has my game crashed? No, it's pretending it hasn't crashed. Anyway, so yeah, got through, what's it named? A Jarakan, and that was a fun fight.
yeah, he's okay.
Yeah, he's one of the only low rank monsters that can potentially really, really ruin your day. If you get caught in one of his super moves, he will. If you're not at full health, he will probably cart you. You know, it's not a guarantee, but he'll probably cart you.
He never did. I got hit by it once, and it did like half my health. It says there's a setting for the squad lobby.
For the hunt.
Oh, it's 4444.
Okay, I'm not sure why it's asking for that, but all right.
I haven't put any passwords in yet.
I think it's because he got booted and he's trying to join mid progress. I might have auto set up if I set up a passcode, it's 4444.
Yeah, it's
you
probably
just broadcasted to the entirety of the internet.
Not that anyone will care.
Hi, internet. If you want to join our hunts, the passcode is 4444. Did that let you?
It's a good time. There's a lot I really do like about this game, and there's a few things I kind of don't. Mostly that, and it's probably because I'm still stuck at low rank. Aside from the railroading, of course, is that the hunts seem to go by just too quickly.
Yeah.
By the time you're starting to get into the groove of things, the monster's dead.
Yeah, and I attribute this to just them.
Yeah.
In early rank, you make in low rank especially, you make wounds so easily, and the wounds cause critical damage and allows focused attacks. That did 4444 work?
Yes, I'm on the way.
Okay.
I am chickening my way over there.
Do we still have cats once we hit 3 people? I don't even remember.
My cat's gone.
Okay.
Oh, cats are gone. Okay.
No cats.
No cats.
Okay. So I have to actually use potions now.
So yeah, like I get that it's because we've played Monster Hunter before, and World had the same problem as did Rise. It's just the early game is geared towards new players, so it's just too easy.
I almost didn't get that sneak attack off in time.
But honestly, I think it's kind of a two-edged sword. It teaches bad habits for later.
Yeah, I'm really hoping as I progress through high rank, the wounds get harder and harder to make. Because we were talking about this before you got on, Fern. But basically, there are schools of thought on the wound system and the focus attacks that people are fighting with each other over.
Yep.
And oh, he's in. So basically, it's like this. When you create a wound on a monster when in multiplayer, there's some debate on what is the appropriate etiquette for it, because what is optimal to do is different for every weapon and monster combo. So, for casual play with people that know each other, just if you think it's a good time to popping it now is probably a good idea. If you're fighting one of the monsters that heals wounds quickly later in the game, yeah, probably good to pop it immediately. You can leave it up if you don't want to, and just hope one of your friends doesn't pop it. It's not going to be that big of a deal. Regardless of which route you take, the wound is going to radically increase the damage you do to the monster, because it's going to functionally make every hit there a weakness crit. And if you pop it with a focus attack, some of the focus attacks are just super powerful. The example I gave earlier for a non-system mechanic influencing one, those are a thing. But like dual blades normally only has access to its buzzsaw move on a slope, and it's its most powerful move in its kit. Not even close. But our focus attack is just the ability to do that wherever the heck we want. As long as there's a wound, we can tag with our focus attack. Now, for some weapons, like the switch axe, it's a bit more intrusive that has me worried. because it allows you to skip the entire resource buildup phase of Switch Axe and just gives you full juice.
All right. So, and I think the same is true for longsword.
Yeah, well, longsword.
Yeah, you got a judgment nut. That's what you got to do with the longsword.
Yeah, I'm not as hard on longsword as the general Monster Hunter community seems to be, but man, does it seem to get a lot of love all the time.
It do.
That wound is too high up for me to hit.
I can also not hit it.
I could hit it if he would stay still.
Oh, okay. Gunlance is feeling really good, and I still don't know what the optimal combos are.
So, one thing I wanted to check with you, Fern. I brought this up before you got on too, and me and Vaul talked about it a bit, but I want to know your opinion on the world at large. And after you give it to me, I want to point out some things I've noticed if you don't. So, like the environments and the areas you run around in where we're actually doing the hunts. What do you think of those so far?
All right. Well, they've taken things I think a step back from Monster Hunter World, where there's a lot less verticality to them, which makes them kind of all nice, big and spread out. But it also means you don't have some of that crap like knocking the Rathalos out of the tree.
Yeah.
But that said, like they're pretty, but a little bit bland, maybe.
Okay. So the reason I phrased my question that way is because I've noticed something basically from the get-go, because this is a part of the Monster Hunter games that I've been doing every single time that I'm not able to do at all in this straight up remote.
All right.
When you load into the map, everything on the map is immediately marked. That initial discovery phase of where you run around and learn the map doesn't happen. It does not.
I haven't actually looked at that.
If you open the map, everything in any zone you've made show up on your map by just walking to it, everything in that zone is lit up.
Yeah, that's disappointing.
And furthermore, there is no tracking of monsters and learning optimal paths to get to the monster. Where it, full post game after you've already done the full investigations territory, where all you have to do is call your bird dinosaur. While you're on the bird dinosaur, push the call bird dinosaur button again, and it will auto taxi you to the monster.
Yep.
So it really nettles me that we don't get to explore these maps.
Yeah, it also lacks the kind of immersion point that World had, where you go around and you're collecting bits of information to allow you to do that.
Yeah, like
if that was there, I think that would be a lot better. I was dead.
I want to sharpen my hammer, but you guys killed
it. You're gonna sharpen your hammer.
Hey, I have had to sharpen my saxophone before. Don't judge.
Hammer is not a complicated weapon.
There's definitely a sharp note joke in there somewhere.
Yes, there is. Meanwhile, I'll just sharpen my gun. Lance. But,
yes.
Yeah, it's just like, you don't really interact with the world in any way. Or in any meaningful way, like you did before.
Yeah.
Like, it's nice that there's all the actual interactables around, and the world itself becomes a much more important part of the fight. That's fine, and that's great. But just the exploration is gone. You're right.
Yeah, like I can tell you, I did not pay as much attention in Rise because I didn't like the maps as much as World, but I can still have a rough head map of what those maps look like and tell you where the important stuff is. And generally what the environment, the important stuff looks like is, and probably roughly where it is on the map. Like in World, I can tell you just about everything about that effing forest.
Yep.
You had to learn those maps inside and out to really take advantage of them. And I found that part of the game a lot of fun, but that's just not here.
Yeah.
Also, when you're coming up on a monster, if you just get off your bird and don't attack it and run up to it with your weapon sheath and press circle, you can do a sneak attack on it. And for some weapons, this will pre-juice your juice-o-meter.
I should do that with the gun lance because I've got the wyvern shot I can do with that.
Is that better than the true charge slash though? The true charge slash opener.
Depends on where the monster's at and if you think you can get it off. I have no idea. You can. It seems to do a colossal amount of damage, that sneak attack, so it probably is better.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's also bugged me, and the fact that you're disincentivized from even going out to get the collectibles in the world, because so far cooking has been very downplayed because it's really, really, really difficult to get some of the ingredients at this point, even in high rank. And they're so limited that all you wind up doing is just using the rations anyway. So the few you could get by running around the world aren't really worth it. And you don't need to go looking for any of the materials to go figure out a farming route for them because it's all already on your map.
Yeah.
There's no discoverable stuff to find with like the old, the old in Rise, how picking through the point bone piles and the point coin purses and stuff would give you cooking ingredients.
Yep.
And unlock them, because there's nothing like that here. It's just not as exciting finding any of the point stuff. It feels kind of dumb. Like, oh great, more points to spend at the point shop every like 7 hunts when it finally comes in.
When I actually bother to.
Yeah, and that doesn't even unlock until late high rank, and by then you've accrued enough miscellaneous points from healing around that you pretty much buy everything there every time.
Yeah. I haven't even seen if there's a farm or not.
Not in the game yet. There is a go out and fetch me stuff, but
yeah,
all you got to do is while you're being taxied, just look around what's around you while you're being taxied, and lines up as gatherable. Just
hook it. Yeah, like it is useful to have the option to have your bird dog run you up to the monster so you can do your sharpening and buffing on the way, but it comes at the cost of the world.
Yeah, the taxi dog. I did not like the taxi animals in World, and would often just neglect to use them because it was more fun to run to the monster.
But I kind of forgot about them half the time.
Yeah, because there's a bit of clunk to them. You would have to get in an area where one was callable, and you would have to have a certain investigation level, and then call the taxi animal. And some monsters, after you'd hunted them 50 bajillion times, you just started at the taxi level and could call the animal. But it took a lot of hunts to do that. And by then, you knew where the spawn was anyway. In this game, there is no learning where the spawn is. There is no learning the path it takes at the start of the hunts. There's just have the bird dinosaur taxi you over there. So that's been the biggest, I think, putting my minor worries aside, that's the biggest gripe I have with the game right now. It's just that whole introductory section that really gets me invested in the maps and the world layout just ain't there. Oh, I forgot to post the quest.
Yes, quest helps. Ah, you're going Unga Bunga mode. I see.
Who's going Unga Bunga mode?
You are.
Oh yeah, I've been using the hammer.
That is how hammer do. You go Unga and you go Bunga. That's it.
Well, we can pop a for Vaul again, so we don't have to hunt it on low rank anymore.
I hate Congalala.
You just don't like getting farted on.
Well, I mean, even if you avoid getting farted on, the other end is no better.
No, the other end is not particularly great.
Kick me. No.
Yes, I am pleased to see there is Kula Yaku's, and the first event quest that's come out is Kula Yaku's being a pain.
Fern has withdrawn from the quest.
I have not.
I have not departed yet, so you should just be able to come back in and get it.
I am getting an ew error. Why am I getting communication errors?
The servers are having all kinds of issues.
It's weekend, so they're probably overblown.
Yeah, it's launch week. If they're still having problems post launch week, I'll give more commentary on. They really need to get that crap fixed. I don't like that I'm giving leeway because it's launch week. I feel like I shouldn't, but
yeah, they've got a lot of issues they've really got to sort out. Most of them are on the optimization end, and unfortunately, I think the server issues might be falling by the wayside a little bit.
Yeah. So the biggest thing, if you have liked what you've seen so far, and my hesitations have not turned you off of it, picking up the game, the thing I recommend you do, unless you're in the middle of doing a show and want to just hunt random crap, is just get through that stupid low rank railroaded story.
Yeah. The
And
So
story is honestly not that
when you break into
interesting.
high rank, does it just basically stop putting guardrails on things?
the last zone will be relocked for 5 hunter ranks, and then it will unlock again, and then you're pretty well free to go, unless you encounter a tempered monster out in the world. Then it will say you can't fight that yet.
Because you're going to get smushed.
Why put
Actually,
them
that's
on the
one of
map
the
if you
things that
can't
they've
fight them?
really.
It's very puzzling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
their obsession with hard locking players that haven't got to a certain point in the game is just baffling to me. Like, if their friends want to power level them, this ain't a competitive game. It's not gonna kill the player experience here by having a few people do that. Fern,
Most part,
is the quest still open for you?
nope.
Okay.
So for the most part, it's going to if you go out your way and you're going to hunt or be dragged into a hunt with something much higher anyway, it's going to soft lock you out of the resources for it anyway.
Yeah. So it's but you could at least let people come along. I mean, even if you don't want them carving stuff, because you think that's too shortcutty. I mean, I could kind of understand that rationale, but
yeah,
it
Well, you could just gate the crafting. You don't need to do that.
yeah, that's true.
the crafting's always been gated along those lines.
Yeah, it's already gated, so there's really no need.
Yeah, so just let people go in there and get whomped in one shot. Like the whole party has to deal with the guy that can get carted. So
I had to.
Yeah, if you let him get carted too many times, that's quest over.
session was full and could not be joined.
Gracious me. Right.
What have you done?
Cancel quest.
A communication error has occurred.
There
Yeah.
said there was a settings thing. Multiplayer settings. Set passcode, yes. 444. Quest join settings, auto accept. Only players. Max members. Get 4. 4. Big pink ugly monkey. Accept and prep.
So one thing I will say about the story is previous Monster Hunter games have been very vague about kind of what the guild does. And for the most part, the fans have kind of filled in the rest of the story there.
But Monster Hunter Stories exists.
Even then, they're very vague about the guild. For the most part, you only deal with the Scriveners, who are basically scholars and bookworms.
And totally indistinguishable from the guild and all their functions.
Yes, but they're not the same because we said so. But this is the first game that they've really kind of acknowledged the conservation angle that the players came up with.
Well, they've alluded to it many times in the past.
Yeah.
Okay, we all got it this time.
We all got it.
Okay. Ready up.
Oh, whoop. No, I got yanked off my bird dog.
I don't have any camps placed anywhere yet.
That's fine. Actually, that's a nice feature I found, is you don't need to go back to the camps to reset them.
They will repair themselves over time if they break. You can actually set them all from base as long as you discovered the location.
Yep, so you just go talk to the cat.
Actually, Vaul, when we get to Monkey Man, try a sneak attack. You don't have to actually be sneaky, just kind of keep your weapon sheathed and run up behind his butt and press the circle button.
But that's the dangerous bit of a Congalala.
Well, it won't be after it's after he gets a greatsword shoved up it.
Oh yes, it will.
It may
make it worse.
It could make it worse, or it could cause some blockage.
I think the thing would explode if you do that.
Cause a backfire.
Do they have preparation H in Monster Hunter?
I do not know. So yeah. So yeah, it also doesn't really matter if you don't have your camp. I just try to kind of keep them relatively spaced. just so I
For the
can.
most part, I think every zone has one guaranteed safe camp, so I tend to keep one
Too close,
there
Fern.
and then
Too close,
move the other
Fern.
one around.
Pull back, flee.
What, the monkey?
Yes, I want Vaul to
He's
get
way
this.
over there.
Okay, you're good. You ran past him. I want to see what Vaul's damage is like when he sneak attacks it compared to his normal thing.
Yeah, I didn't let the dog autopilot, so I've got a different route. Because I want some parachutes because I'm running low on tranks.
Oh, he's way further up there than I thought. I thought he was at the top of the hill. No, that was a bunch of little monkeys.
There is Big Monkey.
Yep, that's what we want to see when sword in the butt.
Yeah, I want to see if it's actually better than True Charge Slash.
All right.
Remember to keep your weapons sheathed through this attack. You don't have to crouch. Just go run up to his butt and just go run up to his butt and circle.
If you really want to be on top of it, you can ghillie mantle.
He keeps turning around.
That's fine. Just go up to his butt and punch it.
It's not very much damage.
Okay.
No, it's farting again.
Bonkage.
Oof.
Or bonk.
Whee! That was a lot of numbers.
I missed. Yeah, but like for dual blades, we get at my weapons level. I'm doing like 20 damage hit for a neutral hit, and the sneak attack does about 250.
I'd say it's probably the damage is probably about the same as True Charge Slash, probably.
Okay.
Does it work on sleeping monsters too?
I do not know what the condition is to reset the sneak attack.
Because it might be an attempt because to sort of obviate the necessity of having a waker in the party.
That's possible. So yeah. As for other than the Monhun stuff, oh, there we go. Finally got the bonk. Just turbo bonking.
Okay, I deserve that.
What happened to you?
I got bopped. So Gunlance's focus strike just keeps going. You drill that monkey, and you don't stop drilling that monkey.
Keep on drilling.
Keep on drilling.
How's his left hand broken? See a wound on his other hand. I'm trying to focus attack it.
There we go. See? Keep on drilling. Ah, you got fired on.
No, I didn't. He missed. Okay, there's his legs broken. But yeah, it's so far, despite all the worries I've mentioned on the show about it, I'm still having fun with it because it's still Monster Hunter. Like even Monster Hunter Lights, I can get a lot of enjoyment out of, even if I've got reservations with them. So like a good old relink. Oh, that's a Monster Hunter Light, but I still enjoyed it just because the formula works.
Yeah.
Nope.
I would say that the sneak attack it's more valuable than True Charge Slash if you know that you aren't going to be able to land the first one.
Yeah. I guess if you just want to get it quicker than True Charge Slash would take as well, if you're just in a hurry to get the hunt started for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Sharpen my
Uh,
hammer.
so yeah, besides Monster Hunter, it's basically been work and Skyrim for me.
Yeah, after the show, you've gotta give us the deets.
Yeah, there's some work stuff I'm not going to go into on the show, but yeah, stupidity happened last night.
On a scale of 1 to actually pants on head retarded, how stupid was it?
The pants are off and they headed headwards.
So like an 8.5.
Probably about an 8.5.
That's kind of impressive.
So yeah. Yeah, like I said, still skipping away with Skyrim because it is just once you get it fully modded up, very immersive. And honestly, I'd play a lot more of it if it didn't crash all the time. And honestly, I've got nothing but fear for Elder Scrolls 7, by the way. Like, I want them. They could do another Skyrim. Like, Skyrim was imperfect, but I think it's just all those imperfections kind of made it unique in a lot of ways.
Well, it also came out at a time where that kind of jank, for what they were trying, was a bit more acceptable, and we'd all played Oblivion. We all knew what to expect.
We all knew what the jank.
Now it's gonna. I don't think it's gonna sit because we've got flipping. Oh, what do you call it?
Starfield.
We've got all kinds of shoes like this all over the video game industry now.
Yeah.
I think this is going to steal our kill. Steal it.
Can a monster kill another monster?
I don't know.
I think so.
Oh no, Kongolo was running
But
away.
yeah, like there are a lot of the people who made Skyrim great still at Bethesda, but there's also a lot of people who've left.
Yeah. Well,
and after how aggressively bland Starfield was.
Yeah.
Like Starfield, I think, committed the ultimate sin of gaming. It was boring.
Well, that's the ultimate sin of any piece of entertainment.
It's not worth talking about. Like, everybody's sort of forgotten that it ever existed at this point.
Yeah. Whereas you've got Fallout 3, Fallout 4, New Vegas, which is a whole different argument, but never mind. Skyrim, even Oblivion, still being heavily played today. Even to a lesser degree, Fallout 76. So, yeah, they've got a big legacy to live up to, and I'm not sure if they're going to be able to. The last thing I want is a new Elder Scrolls to come out and for it to be boring.
Yeah, I do not have a whole lot of hope for. Did he just ignite his poop, or was that Fern?
That was me.
He ignited his breath, though.
He did ignite the breath. He ate a nitro shroom. And now he's dead. Yeah, the thing is, at this point, we don't know really anything about Elder Scrolls 7 other than it's in the pipe.
So, is it, though?
Well, it is a pipe that is excessively long.
Like how
is it still sort of sitting at the entrance? Like, have they done anything? Surely you would expect, perhaps in a sane world, that there would be hell to pay after Starfield.
Yeah,
I think so.
I'm wondering how much of that video game is past the whiteboard in the conference room.
I'm wondering if that whiteboard got thrown in the dumpster and burned after Starfield.
I think that the thing that's probably the worst about Starfield is that it still kind of it did everything it was supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it was bad. That's all.
It wasn't
one of those cases where they set the scope so high that it couldn't possibly be accomplished or anything like that.
No, because they were making something they'd already made before, just in space.
Yeah, and it was bad. It was totally uninteresting. It had absolutely no soul whatsoever.
Yeah. Like there were some cool ideas in there, like I said before, what they did with Earth in that universe was actually kind of interesting, and they only explore it really late in the game, and you're basically crawling through the bowels of NASA at that point. But honestly, by the time you get to that point of the game, you're just so checked out. Like, there's all this talk about these crazy space cultists worshipping a giant space snake, but you don't ever actually see them. You've got to pay extra for them. And all the intrigue, like, here's this mysterious alien ships. No, it's not only just humans, it's humans you already know. Like, these are the people you've been talking to all game. They're just wearing shiny suits now. Spoilers, by the way.
In space.
So yeah, every opportunity they had just
in
to do
space.
something interesting, they just flubbed it.
I'm reliably
The most-
informed that there is no
Yep.
capitalism in space, and it's the one place you can escape to.
Tim Curry was wrong. Because the most
Nice.
fun I had with Starfield was doing corporate espionage. You know, when that quest didn't bug out.
Speaking of Tim Curry, the thing that pushed me over into just buying Monster Hunter Wilds was the fact that there seemed to be a disproportionate number of people who were more concerned with playing as Nigel Thornberry than they were with making a face that didn't have a man jaw.
Well, I mean, if you let anything slip on one of these sliders in this game, you're going to end up with Sexy Squidward. It just happens. And my character reverts to Sexy Squidward whenever I cook a meal.
Yeah,
that's the thing. I'm really not happy with the way my character looks, but then I realized that the thing that I'm unhappy about is different in basically every scene.
Yes.
Depending on the lighting, the camera angle, it just makes some other part of my character's face look uggo.
Yeah.
Yeah, my character looks fine in neutral lighting with a neutral face, but the second she makes any facial expression, we're in Monsterville.
I mean, it's not as bad as my era of Final Fantasy 14, but please do not smile. That Aura face was scarring. So yeah, but Wild is good. It is a good video game, and above all, it gives people what they want. I think is probably the biggest thing for the most part. Like, there is monster, go fight monster. That's it. That's your formula.
Mhm.
It's kind of hard to get wrong, but we've seen games with a similar formula get it so wrong in the past, recent past. So yeah, it's good to have just a good video game to sink teeth into.
Yeah.
All right. I'm just going to stay here and stare at this lady who's staring at a book while everything's on fire.
Right. Well, I injected my week throughout y'all's weeks because it's pretty much all Monster Hunter. I guess I can talk about what happened on Wednesday and why customers are dumb.
Okay.
On Wednesday. Wednesday was already a busy day. But this turned it from a day full of work and super fat to Lizzo.
Oh dear.
Basically, a customer calls me and goes, "Hey, we didn't get the quick removal fittings for this pump. Are you sure? Okay. Let me check with the factory and get the bill lading and get confirmation that they think they shipped it, and I'll figure out who to yell at. Because, FedEx loses stuff, happens. And it went through FedEx.
Yeah.
They're my least favorite FedEx might be the one company I'll take USPS over.
Oh dear.
Especially the Atlanta FedEx. So, call the factory, get the bill lading, and he's like, and he sends the message, he's like, ask them if they check the boxes that are strapped on top of the crate. I asked him, yeah, they're not in those. Okay. Send them the bill of lading. We don't know where it went. So give me a second. I'll relay that they're not in the box at the factory and see what we can do. I did that and sent them the pictures, and that the customer had sent me of just the crate and the boxes sealed in saran wrap. Because I'm thinking they took these pictures earlier, but this would be confirmation to the factory that it was all together. And if it ain't there, they just didn't ship it. So they're like, well, crap. Guess we'll just have to replace it because we must not have shipped it if it's not in there and it was saran wrapped. There's no way that the freight company could have lost it, and we'll just send them another one. And these are not cheap. These are like $1,200 list price. And so, as I'm telling the customer this on the phone, I get an email, like from the guy that actually is on the floor with the shipping department at the factory, and he's like, "Did they look inside the crate?" I just kind of assumed so. I'll check. No, the customer had not opened the crate.
You know what? I'm not even surprised.
Why did... what thought process allows you to arrive at the conclusion that you did not receive part of your shipment when you did not open the shipment?
I guess they thought they could see it because it's a proper wooden crate with like some space between the planks. Just a little bit though. I guess they thought because they couldn't see it, it just wasn't there. No, it's on the bottom of the crate.
They ship with a manifest, right?
Yes, that's what the bill of lading. That's what the bill of lading is for.
You open it up and then you check everything against the manifest. That is how you do.
And then you contact the company that supplied it to you because they didn't send the manifest with it. That's my experience. That's what actually happened.
Well, yes, that's the step that always happens. It's just like, yeah, just open everything up, make sure it's not there first before you start causing issues. You dum-dum.
Ow. Hang on, I put something in my mouth. Stuck a peanut in my mouth because I got a bad case of the munchies just now, and it is a stuck peanut.
You're right.
So yeah, that happened. I already had a ton of extra work on Wednesday trying to figure out a way to procure H2O or H20. I'm not sure which is actually correct. Hatches that are occasional traffic rated in the easiest and cheapest way possible. And this was hard, and involved me calling every single supplier of basins and hatches and covers I knew to try and work out a way to do it. I eventually got it figured out.
One wouldn't work?
No, you can't put a normal hatch if it requires H2O. And normally I get them from a company called US Foundry. Problem is, US Foundry are the worst people on the planet when it comes to response time. Like, it's terrible. So, I'm not kidding when I say I've been pestering them every day for a cut sheet on a hatch I quoted to a customer 2 weeks ago and have not got it yet.
Oh no! Are these those guys who were just saying, "Oh, I'll send it tomorrow"?
Yes. The tomorrows have continued for a whole nother week.
That's a lot of tomorrows.
So I've gone looking for somebody else, and I got one finally. And if they work it out, I'll be very happy with Top, and they will be getting all of my business from now on for traffic rated hatches. Because traffic rated hatches mean a car has to be able to drive over it. Everything short of an 18-wheeler has to be able to drive over it. If you need an 18-wheeler to drive over it, then you need direct traffic rated, and oh boy, those are
those are chunky boys.
Those are $20,000.
Yeah.
Do
Didn't
not,
think those things would be cheap.
engineers, if you want to save cash, do not put your waste disposal basins in the area where the 16 wheelers and 18 wheelers go, because it will quadruple the price of that system. So yeah, that's where what I was doing with that, and these two things together, running alongside my normal workload, turned Wednesday into hell. And so Wednesday I was dead when I got home. I came home and died, and Thursday I was pretty dead, just from the fallout of Wednesday, because I was going from 8 to about 7 nonstop with full brain activity the whole time and no break. So for those 2 days I was burnt. Friday was thankfully a light day, so I managed to get some more Monhun time in and break into high rank, and that's where we're at with that. But all I've done in the free time I've had is try to make progress in Monhun, because, well, I've liked playing, and I still want to see where the game's going with it, and I want to see if high rank improves on some of my worries with the game. And I also I wanted to get out of the railroaded low rank, because you're just kind of stuck.
Yeah.
So you get out of there. Carlotta, where are you? Oh, there you are. I lost my cat. I thought it got super lost. Normally it comes back in town. No. Stuck. So yeah, that's all my week really was, and I've injected all throughout y'all's weeks. So there's nothing really to bounce off of there. Oh, one thing. One day this week, Thursday evening, I think. I did not play Monster Hunter. Instead, I played Walkabout Mini Golf.
Yes.
Because the new map came out.
Ooh, what is it?
It is Mount Olympus.
Oh, right, okay.
So Greek mythology theme. And so we
Kind of weird because I uninstalled Meta Horizons because it kept spamming me with pop-ups. But yeah, it's still spamming me with the occasional pop-up, and they added a walkabout for Mount Olympus.
Yeah. Walkabout Mini Golf is an incredibly popular game, VR game. The thing is, even though it's very popular and doing very well, the team has thankfully made the incredibly wise decision to stay a very small team and has not taken the money and expanded yet. And they have, this is why their licensing deals are like, and they've been very cost effective. So their licensing deals are like Jim Henson's Labyrinth and Elvis Presley and stuff like that. But when they don't have a licensing deal going, it's just picks theme. And I really liked this map. It was a ton of fun, and I had a lot of fun figuring out the course. Dionysus's area with the giant wine pool, on both normal and hard, me and Ibu stroked out.
Okay, is that good?
It is that hard.
Yeah, I actually did buy a couple of DLCs for Walkabout Mini Golf, so I did the Wallace and Gromit course on normal and hard.
Oh,
and that one's a lot of fun.
We haven't done hard yet. Yeah, we've been saving courses for you in case you get on from like the base game that we were sure you had. I would look at your library and see which DLCs you bought, so I could bookmark ones to see if we could save them for you. However, you've made your library private again.
I like to hide.
Why?
Also, I have friends who insist on sending me messages and crashing my game the moment I open them.
I mean, there's an appear invisible button for that. You don't got to hide your library.
But yeah, it's just Wallace and Gromit and Mist so far, and I haven't played the Mist course yet.
The Mist course, you don't have to do a whole lot of noggin jogging, but you got to do a little bit on easy mode. We haven't done most of the hard modes.
Yeah, it looks like it's got some light puzzle elements in there to go.
Yeah, some of the holes require you to do some puzzle solving.
Yeah, like the planetarium has a puzzle in it.
Yeah. But
it's not a particularly hard puzzle, but it's in there.
So the hard mode of the course is, instead of hunting for balls, you have fox hunts, which you you find a little clue near the start of the map, and it'll point you to somewhere else on the map. So it's good to do them after you've done the easy mode, so you know the map and where roughly it's talking about, and can actually make an educated guess from the clue.
Yep.
Or Ibu has never read a thing about Greek mythology,
Oh no.
and every single one of those holes is part of a temple to one of the 12 Olympians, and he just had no clue. He's like, "I'm glad you're here because I don't have a clue what these people are talking about."
You'll have the same issue with the Wallace and Gromit ones because most of the stuff there for that is a reference to one of the films.
Well, we actually got the films over here. They weren't big over here, but I did watch them when I was younger. Like I remember
they're pretty niche outside of the Commonwealth, from what I understand.
Yeah, they made their way to the States and were something that people like my age could recognize as, oh yeah, that was like turned on when I was a child, or I saw it on the television. But it was not part of our culture and didn't penetrate as much as it did, I think, in y'all's area of the world.
It's rather British.
It is incredibly British.
Yeah. So that's Walkabout Mini Golf. We're very slowly chewing through the hard courses. I have done all the easy courses now. I think Ibu still has a few left he needs to go back and do again because he bought the DLC pack a bit later, so he doesn't have the balls for him.
Yep.
But I've been having fun, still having fun with Walkabout Mini Golf. Hoping we get some.
It's a good way to kill an afternoon.
Yeah, hoping we get some good multiplayer VR games to really scratch that itch and take advantage of it, because I do enjoy multiplayer VR. There's so many dumb shenanigans you can get up to regardless of the game.
Yep.
And
especially when physics get involved.
And any type of game part of it just gets infinitely better when there's that dimension of depth, like hitting the golf ball.
Yeah.
Like, how did it bounce that way?
Magic.
Oh, and just being able to just get mad at it and just give it the old driver swing super clobber when you're getting bodied by a hole.
Hey, and sometimes that works. Not often, but sometimes.
Did work a couple times. I could not repeat those shots again if I tried.
Yes.
Oh, that's
weird flying jellyfish things.
So yeah, that was my week. And all the news has been focused around Monster Hunter. We don't have any emails, at least we didn't when the show started. So I guess if there's any Monster Hunter anecdotes you want to run on before we close out, we can do that.
Covered most.
Haven't had time to generate any yet.
Yeah, that'll probably be a next week thing, and more point a high rank thing.
Yeah.
Because the story, like as we've said before, it's very railroady.
Yeah. So one anecdote I'll give you comes from outside the game, and that I have not watched any of these videos, but it's very obvious what they're about from their titles when they get in my recommends. Because I've been keeping myself relatively unspoiled about the game. I know a few things that are going on, and whenever I know something iffy, I'll Google it about the game. But I haven't spoiled myself on what monsters make up the rest of high rank. Try not to spoil other people either. However, the Charge Blade player base is back.
Oh no!
Yes,
and they are big mad that Lance and Gun Lance are able to compete with them in damage.
Lance
but our weapon is so complicated to use, it needs to do more damage.
No, shut up.
No. The complexity of a weapon in Monster Hunter never reaches a point where the complexity itself warrants additional reward for it existing. It's just how busy the playstyle is and whether you like that or not. Sorry.
Yeah.
Your reward is getting to play the weapon.
Yes. And if you do it right, that's how you get your extra damage.
Yeah, we are not doing, Devil Sword Dante, Sword Loop, Chevalier cancels that pay out more damage and are stupidly hard to do and get you a ton of style points. Because they're difficult.
Honestly, Gunlance and particularly Lance have kind of been in a really bad spot for a long, long time now. Let them have this.
Yeah. Dual Blades, once again, are in the middle of the pack, but we are in a awkward position where everybody in the Dual Blade corner, and it is surprisingly a very small corner. There are not that many of us, it seems, because nobody really posts about the Dual Blades, because Dual Blades are more about, they're the weapon you pick if you want to play around what the monster is doing rather than be proactive with your own weapon. If you want to learn the monster's moveset and do stuff, that's what Dual Blades are for. But we're kind of stuck with a problem right now. Number one, critical element appears to be bugged and is just not working. The skill. Like, it just doesn't work. Number two.
World had that same issue?
Yeah, World had similar issues. Number two. Our whole shtick is making wounds on monsters in this game by attacking rapidly, and there's a skill that makes that easier. However, the skill is bugged. You want to stop it at rank 2, because anything higher makes it less effective.
Bad.
The other thing is, we don't know if this is a bug, because Capcom, in communication to the player, Demon Mode just isn't applying the normal bonuses it does to elemental damage for Dual Blades. The hard Demon Mode that drains your stamina constantly, the one that you actually have to manage stamina for, that's supposed to give you a slight elemental damage multiplier buff, but it just ain't doing it in this game. And we don't know if this is intended because the focus attack is so powerful, or if this is a bug, and we should be higher up from middle of the pack. We just don't know. So that's what's going on in Dual Blade land.
My brother picked up Insect Glaive, and he's played a little bit. Again, early low rank, but he's discovered you just don't die with Insect Glaive. You just heal constantly.
I couldn't figure out how to get up in the air with Insect Glaive when I was goofing around when we were killing the Quacker thing.
Yep. Because the floor is lava.
However, the bug was doing a whole lot of work. I'm not sure what it was doing, but it was doing something.
The bug definitely does work this time around.
Yeah. Aesthetically, all the changes to these weapons and their new moves, I like. I think most of them. I can't think of one I dislike for the new moves and animations and the game feel pulling this stuff off. It does feel good. They just really got to do some health recalibration as the hunter ranks get higher to stop it from being overpowering. But it does. Most of the stuff does feel good, at least from the push the button and see the animation perspective. Being able to do the buzzsaw wherever I want is insane. I kind of wish it had a bit more reduced damage on it, because it kind of makes slopes less special. And every time I see one now, I'm like, aw, I could use you. Or I could do it for free. The easier way.
Yeah. I admit Lance feels a little bit overpowered when I've got a whole bunch of wounds, and then I can just chain pop them and keep the monster on the ground.
Yeah, if you know about the focus attack button in low rank and how to abuse it with wounds, the monster ain't getting back up.
Yeah.
Like you saw...
I think every weapon has a mini knockdown with it.
When you pop a wound, yeah, even Dual Blades can topple the monster.
Yeah.
But we've always been able to topple the monster just by continuous damage to the feet. That's the only way we could get Anjaneth's tail off. Because it's too high off the ground.
It's too high off the ground, yeah. You have to knock him down.
This actually was really frustrating me in this game, is a lot of the monsters have tails that are just barely out of reach of Dual Blades, and I am glad they made the focus attack reach a little bit higher as a straight vertical slash with Dual Blades. But this frustrated me enough that I've actually been trying Switch Axe, and when you can get it juiced up and on the tail in single player, it's a tail chopping machine.
Oh, yeah.
But, and that's basically all I want to use it for. I was having stamina management problems with Dual Blades because they reverted it, thankfully, to the way it was in World. This is a net good, but after playing Rise Forever, where it didn't do this, it was driving me nuts, switching back. But when you activate hard demon mode that constantly drains your stamina, if you get roared at by a monster in Rise, you would just stay in hard demon mode and your stamina would just keep on going down. In this game, they put us back in the World variant, where it turns off demon mode. Now, this coupled with the new super archdemon mode you can get if you fill up archdemon mode and get a perfect dodge with demon mode active while you have your archdemon bar full. Stamina management got really rough without any skills. And having demon mode just randomly shut off was not helping things in terms of keeping track of stamina. So the second I unlocked a piece of... There's some trash in the Force Zone that you can kill in high rank once you get there. That'll just give... I think it drops for like acute things in its pelts. It gives you rank 2 earplugs.
Yep.
And that's enough to fix the problem. So now...
Rank 2 earplugs will cover you for most things.
Yeah, and that's enough to mostly fix the problem. So, yeah. I don't see myself replacing that belt for a while.
Not till you can get earplugs elsewhere.
Yeah, not until I can get some decorations or something. But yeah, that's where we're at with that. I have not noticed that the hunts are taking longer at high rank, and I am trying to keep my gear up as I go. But I'm hoping we see quite a bump at Tempered. I have a quest to hunt a Tempered monster in my log, but I have not taken it yet. I was trying to clear everything else out first before I did that one.
Yep. Oh, I've just stumbled upon an angry cephalopod.
Oh yeah, I love that new monster type.
It's not completely new. 4 had a similar skeleton.
Yeah,
It was actually a literal skeleton in that case, because the thing would wear the bones of dead monsters and wave them around.
No, this thing's all jelly.
It's all gooey.
It can squeeze through cracks.
Oh, it is like a literal octopus.
Yeah. Yeah, as long as its beak can fit through, it can squeeze through the crack, and it will take advantage of this when you fight it.
Right. I don't want to fight it right now, not while I'm doing the show.
But yeah. And that's all I got for Monhun news tangents afterwards that we didn't cover during the week section. Y'all got anything else that you might have missed in your weeks? Because it feels weird there's literally no news because we're talking about the news that...
The only bit of news that I really saw that was of any note was Yoshi P being removed, leaving the board of directors at Square Enix.
This is...
He was hated being on the board, though.
Yeah, this is...
Yeah, he did.
This doesn't signal anything to me. It is a super nothing.
Really?
Because number one, he didn't want to be there to begin with, and number two, the restructure was finalized like a year and a half ago.
Yeah. Honestly, if anything, it means Yoshi P will actually get some sleep now. Maybe.
I mean, maybe it'll give him the juice to get some rest and have some clarity about what the fudge happened with Dawn Trail.
I know what happened. Wooklamot happened.
Well, that's one of the things that happened. After he fixes the Wooklamot story problem, there's then the class problem, which is a ginormous mess that needs cleaning up.
I think they've already kind of sort of vaguely hinted at addressing that, and that's by basically saying it's being pushed off to the next expansion.
Yeah, well, they said
Not
that.
good enough. I don't want vague hints. I want them to say, we made a terrible expansion and we're going to do better. And this is how.
Yes.
Yeah. And
you goofed.
And furthermore, it's made even worse than Dawn Trail with their content cadence being 2 weeks longer between patches, I think. Maybe a whole month longer.
For less content.
Yeah, so
less content.
Yeah, so it's 7.2. Better knock it out of the park if they don't want to see that sub number that's already at an all-time low get even lower.
Yeah, honestly, playing through 7.0, like the story was disappointing, and when you got the story finished, there wasn't anything to do after that.
Yeah.
It was go back and do old content. Maybe you can go and do a quick run through the Alliance raid, what part of it had been released. But beyond that, it's just, what else?
I mean, the start of expansion is always like that to a certain degree, but this is where we're feeling the lack of any kind of substance behind like the relic quest for last expansion and stuff. Because the previous expansions would pile on this extra content that would keep adding to stuff to do. But, you play the game for 3 years as your main game consistently, and you've chewed through a goodly portion of that stuff and only have a few of the grinds left. And you're really looking for something new to catch your eye. Like, so for the long-term players that have been in this, since Shadowbangers, we're starting to run out. if we've been
Honest,
playing as our mono game or our main game for 3 years. So
yeah.
that's where it lost
Endwalker
me.
was a pretty weak expansion, admittedly. The story was fine, and that kept people hooked and playing for the most part. But you've got a fairly weak expansion, and then you've gone into Dawn Trail.
Yeah, well, it was coasting on the built-up goodwill, basically, but it consumed that.
It consumed that. You can have a bad expansion every now and again,
Yeah,
or in Blizzard's case, every second one.
they probably had enough goodwill that if the story had at least been tolerable, they still had some in the tank that they could have used to write out the current issues that are not the story. But
If the story had been good, then people would have been happy to stick around with the promise of, yes, we're bringing back a Bosnia style field operation,
yeah,
plus all this other stuff down the pipe.
yeah, people would be more amenable to the idea. But now the lack of content with the class issues and the terrible story, and the strict adherence to their formula that they will not deviate from no matter what, has really started to grind on people.
Yeah,
and they're seeing that in the sub count. I linked a video in MMOs of she goes a bit off the rails near the end, but Lucy does a Lucy thing talking about why she's not playing Final Fantasy right now.
and she says it in the most filthy way possible, assumably.
Possibly, I kind of tune it out with Lucy, so I can't think of any specifics.
She tends to throw dirty jokes in basically everywhere she can get away with them.
The only joke of hers that I remember is from her what your Star Rail main says about you video, where the Kafka line for Kafka players is, "You have mommy issues, severe ones."
I mean, she's not wrong. So anyway, yeah,
So
we'll see what 7.2, yes, for Final Fantasy does. We've got the Moogle Tombstone event going at the moment, and Little Ladies Day, which honestly, the events for Final Fantasy have been so lackluster lately. It's like you get a piece of transmog that you'll never ever use.
yeah, only like one of them per year even has a fate tied to it now, maybe two. Otherwise, it's
And
just go
that's
run around.
usually the one with the mount.
Yeah, and they're all go run around and talk to people. There's like it really stuck out to me last year during the summer event. There wasn't even a fate to grind for it, and their event for it was to copy paste the jump tower from last year.
Yeah, and that was it. There was a very short go and talk to people event, and that was it.
Yeah, and every event has been just go talk to people.
And
They've
I
got
think the reward was an emote.
yeah, not even an outfit, not even a swimsuit.
Not even a brand new swimsuit.
Yep. So yeah, 14 still in the hole. We will see. I'm not going to be playing 17.2 at launch because number one, I got a ton of games I'm trying to focus on right now and really get into that I want to play. I want to see where Monster Hunter Wilds is going. I've still got to finish the post game of Daybreak, and
Yeah,
and tons of VR games on the docket that I want to get to. New character in Genshin that I am going to try to pull for. Wallet may have to come out for that one if I decide to get stupid. Because Farina was not nice to me. She emptied me out.
Oh my.
Yeah, likewise, I'm still just at the surface of the VR rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But like, I've got to get in. I've got to get Half-Life Alyx because that's one of the mandatory ones you got to get.
Yeah, Half-Life Alyx will recontextualize VR for you and what is really possible. And then as you play games that have taken Alyx and run with it and taken their ideas and spun on it, you'll understand it a bit better. And
I mean,
it'll
just
be
having
fun.
the gravity gauntlet ported into Skyrim has been not only a life changer because otherwise you've got to bend down physically to pick everything up or whatever.
There's a reason every game has vacuum hands or the gravity gloves.
Just the shenanigans you can pull off with it when you're trying to steal stuff in Skyrim is great.
When you find a random trash can in Alyx fairly early in the game that has a very clearly openable lid, open it up. There'll be a rat inside. Pick up the rat with both hands.
Okay.
And then spread your arms.
Does something unfortunate happen to the rat?
No, the rat's fine.
Are you sure?
You will see.
Okay.
You will see what happens to Noodles.
Oh. Because, yeah, unfortunately, in Skyrim, with the few mods, you can bend down and you can pick up the rat, but you can't do anything with him. You just carry him around. He's your buddy.
Yeah.
I do that frequently with pigeons because why not?
Yeah, the rat is labeled as an entity, not an object, and is not supposed to be picked up by players. But he is light enough that you can use two hands, one hand to pick him up, and two hands to hold him. And you are certainly not supposed to be able to stretch entities when you move your arms wide. So interesting things happen with the rat. This bug
That does sound like something unfortunate is going to happen to the rat.
They fixed this bug like within a week of launch, but people like the rat so much they changed it back. So Noodles the rat is still there, but you got to find him. He's in a trash can on your way through the first little prologue bit somewhere.
Yeah. Actually, how much is Half-Life Alyx? It's probably going to be on a sale at some point soon. I think there's a.
I think the spring sale should be coming up soon, so you can see if it goes on sale then if you don't want to scoop it now and you're stuck on other games for the moment.
Half-Life Alyx is still at 85 money, and that's a lot of money.
Yeah, it's still 60 monies here. Valve first-party games don't see price reductions for a long time usually, if ever.
Yeah.
And you just gotta wait on a sale.
Yeah, I'll just wait on a sale for that because it is a game that I do want to play.
I played through it
when Valve eventually does make a game, it's almost guaranteed to be really good.
Oh well, unless your name is the Dota card game.
We don't speak of that.
Well, they really must be trying to go with the eco-friendly angle in this Monster Hunter, because I just realized that you don't actually capture bugs. You pull them off the wall and then you sort of milk them into a container and then you let them go again.
Oh yeah. The moral of this Monster Hunter story is the most pants on head retarded thing I've heard in a Monster Hunter game. Not of all time. I've heard a whole lot of dumb in these last 5 years. But it's definitely the dumbest I've heard in Monster Hunter.
Yeah. I think I preferred it when it was all just kind of subtle and fan-based.
Just you are dude with swords or axe or lance or big sticky thing. Whatever. You see big monster, go punch big monster.
Wear its skin as a hat.
But no, my environment. Got to maintain the my ecosystem. I am a one-girl monster buzzsawing machine. Do you think I care about the environment?
You're a green one.
At this point. But
like I am
basically that was.
I'm a bigger threat to the ecosystem than any Elder Dragon.
Yeah. The guild's whole purpose before this was basically to make sure the hunters were pointed in the right direction. That was about it.
So,
but yeah, like I said, this is the first time they've really kind of put that aspect of it into the game, and that a lot of that was fan born. So yeah,
the cutscene before the big confrontation with the flagship monster, you're gonna just beat your head on your desk. It's dumb. It's really dumb.
Yeah.
I mean, you can write it off as the dumb kid is a dumb kid, but it's still an adult had to put that to paper, and it's really dumb.
I mean, it's only a matter of time. Like, one thing I've noticed about Capcom is they don't do subtlety.
Wait, it is.
I think the Monster Hunter up until this point was accidental more than anything else.
Yeah.
No, they do Dante. That's what they do.
Well, Itsuno did Dante, and Dante was actually good and had a actually interesting character arc and character to him that went on throughout the games.
But subtle he isn't.
His character arc actually is you have to it's presented to you abruptly in case you missed it at the end of 5, but you can see that arc building throughout it without it having to get in your face about it. I mean,
yeah,
unless you count the end of 3.
Well, yes,
it was only really subtle in 4, but I'm giving him points. I'm giving Itsuno points specifically. Wonder what the heck he's doing now. But and Bingo, I guess. Bingo can have some. So So yeah, that's Monhun. Next week, we'll be back. Hopefully, Vaul and Fern will have got most of the way punched through low rank or made good progress on it, and we'll have a bit more talk about, and we'll be able to fight more than Kongalala during the show.
How far along is Angry Cephalopod? About halfway?
I can tell you actually. Just Wes.
I'm assuming Hunter rank 9 is the end of low rank.
Yeah. The 3-star hunts are the end of hunts available for optional quests at low rank. 4-star and up is high rank.
Yep.
The Shaguma is the end of 1-star. Your boy is actually in 3-star already, so you're 2/3 the way through.
Right. Yeah, I didn't think there was too much more to go.
Yeah, you got 1, 2, 3, 4 monsters after him, and then flagship monster, and then final boss.
Right. So yeah, I'm about where I thought I was in the story.
Oh, you got a couple. Yeah, that's right. You got a couple of event bosses where you got to fight a pack of monsters, and
26 tiny Kuliakus, perhaps?
that would be better.
That would be that would be hilarious. They've done it before.
Yeah. No, then there's a semi-siege type encounter that I don't know if that monster is going to come back or not. I assume.
Yeah. Oh, it's a set piece monster.
Yeah, it's got a story set piece to introduce it. Like, this is clearly going to be a raid.
Yeah. Please don't bring that mechanic back. It was not good.
I think that's a one-off, but
yeah, because it was not good. It was, but a lot of Monster Hunter games do have kind of the big set piece fight.
Well, I mean, there's lots of ways you can do it. Like, I mean, Kulve Taroth wasn't bad.
Yeah,
Kulve was pretty good.
He gives me Kulve Taroth vibes, but you'll get a preview of it during the story.
Yep.
I mean, the one most people refer to is not one that I've ever seen. The Lao Shen Lung one.
Yeah, that's one of the really, really good ones. Because the thing is just so freaking big.
Yeah, basically, as long as they don't, and this was a collab, so they won't do it again. Get us stuck in the mandatory multiplayer behemoth fight again with the Final Fantasy music.
Not do that again.
Forever playing in my Monster Hunter World lobby.
To be fair, that fight was probably the most evolutionary fight that they've put in a Monster Hunter in years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the way it operated was just fundamentally different.
They interrupted the Unga Bunga. How dare you?
Yeah, it was meant to evoke a MMO style boss, I suppose.
Yeah, you actually had to have rolls. Or at the very least, a tank.
And it was also the most difficult fight in the game and not close.
Yeah. Even Leshen would like, it was hard, but it was nothing compared to Behemoth.
Leshen was relied on nothing more or less than your personal skill.
Yes.
Yeah, you could fight Leshen like a normal monster, no problem. Behemoth, you need friends.
Harder.
Yeah,
and it was a different sort of format. It was a different format as well. Bipedal upright monsters aren't that common. It was more like it was, and most of the smaller monsters that appear like that don't behave that way. Like Kieran, for instance, doesn't behave at all like Ancient Leshen, but it's the only thing on the similar scale, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's like a 3-foot shorter Kuliyaku. Probably about the appropriate size.
I think my favorite event was still the Final Fantasy fight against the Kuliyaku that has the Aetherite crystal.
It just
bird though
keeps getting fatter.
Just
keeps getting fatter
and fatter and fatter.
Yeah. So yeah, there'll be stuff to play with, even if the gameplay doesn't pan out for all my hopes. It won't, but there's still good things to play because it's Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
So I know there's a lot of people, based on my YouTube recommends video titles, that are dooming and glooming, and I know there's a lot that are white knighting. But at the end of the day, I think it's Monster Hunter. If you like Monster Hunter, you already bought the game.
there's a lot of dooming and gloom, and based solely on secondhand reports of performance issues.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like I said before you came on the show, though, Fern, like,
Mm.
in order to get reasonably smooth, like 50-ish FPS performance on my computer, I've needed to basically make it look exactly the same as Monster Hunter World. So in 7 years, the only thing that has happened is that their optimization has gotten worse.
Yeah.
That's basically it.
Yeah. If this was an actual expansion for World, you would be playing at a full 60. You might be
You would
able to.
be.
You might be able to put in the extra effort if you're insane and like enable expanded bar in your motherboard and stuff, and try
Not
that
worth the effort.
and try that to get
Not worth it.
to squeeze out about 5 to 10 more frames. But that can cause other issues.
Yeah, you can keep tweaking and twiddling and things, and you might get more. Like I've managed to get mine up to about a consistent 70 to 80.
Yeah. Oh, Fern, did I tell you I figured out the problem with my performance last week and why you were
Yeah,
getting?
How did you turn off hardware acceleration?
I was mucking around with VR settings and flipping switches on the graphics card itself, like opening up the control panel for it and mucking around trying to get VR to look better. And I must have
Yep.
bumped the hardware acceleration enable button.
Yeah, that makes a big difference. That button.
So
It's
I
like the difference between using your GPU and not using your GPU.
yeah, because I've absentmindedly clicked options before while I'm thinking about what they actually do. I probably just clicked it off by accident.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can't enable frame gen with that turned off.
No.
So that was my performance shoe last week, and that has since been corrected.
Yeah. I'm actually
S-
surprised. I turned frame gen back on, and it's actually working. During the beta, it didn't. It did the opposite.
yeah, they did release a minor patch that fixed some of the egregious immediate card issues, from what I understand. They put out a list of issues they're aware of, but there are so many right now that are floating around that they're going to have to take a few weeks of patching to start really steamrolling those out.
Yeah.
Need to get those bugs hammered down. Game really needed about three more weeks to a couple months in the tank, but you know what we got.
Using that data from the second beta as to what people's system setups are like.
Hmm. So so yeah, I wonder if they realize, oh crap, most of the world still has like a 1060.
I'm surprised how many 1060s are still out there. But yeah,
Well, all the countries that aren't Western world prominent, well off countries, all use the 1060 right now.
yeah.
And
From what I've heard, there had been another one. There's another card that is sort of pulling level with it at this point because a lot of the 1060s are just failing due to old age now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all very well and good that you know, the 980, 1060, 1080 ones that used to make up the bulk of the market are they lasted a long time, but they have fundamentally they just have a lifespan as a certain piece of equipment. You can't perpetuate them forever. They do burn out. So yeah, there's going to be something that will be the successor in theory. I think that the problem we're really up against though is that there's just not that many cards around really these days. Like, I mean, like in terms of absolute numbers, getting a new graphics card is difficult.
yeah,
Yeah.
the supply is just not there to sell those any card cheaply to countries that don't have as much dosh floating around.
I mean, there are presumably there's going to be like a glut of dubious X crypto mining cards floating around somewhere.
Oh, that's already
But
started to happen. Yes.
but a lot of those, like particularly the farms in China, and that the government just destroys the cards. So
Yep.
yeah, they just disappear from existence effectively. And the current new gen of cards from Nvidia are ethically
Suspect.
dubious. Like it's like, are you really is this really good? Is this really ethical business practice to sell people a new, better graphics card that is actually worse than the one that they already have? Like, that seems seems kind of dubious to me. But that's what they're doing, and AMD have made clear their intention not to compete. They've apparently some of their new ones are for the later releases that AMD have made this year have been extremely efficient, but they aren't attempting to compete on power at all.
Which is kind of the opposite of what the Nvidia cards are.
Yeah, eventually houses aren't going to be able to pull enough electricity to power them cards.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll see, because yeah, we've gone through the 40 series and we're on to the 50 series already somehow. But a lot of the gamers out there are still using the 30 series.
Yeah, I think in the Western civilized world, the 30 series is probably where you want to aim for to hit the most market bin.
And yeah, you will end up with a glut of the X Crypto 30 series out there. Just be wary that if you buy an X Crypto card, that thing's going to probably die pretty quickly.
I would replace the heatsink on it if you can.
At the very least, yeah.
I don't. In most of those cars, that's not really a viable option. That's just that thing's going to fail and overheat on.
Yeah, because that thing's probably been cooked at least once already.
Well, the thing is that because those things fail, there's going to be a reasonable amount of like stockpiled spares in those crypto farms. So some of them out there are going to be good because they were probably never used.
Yeah, there's some markets out there where they're already flooded with those cheap 30 series ones, but they're cheap for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, Australia and New Zealand are not one of those markets.
Yeah,
there's quite literally no graphics cards to be bought right now in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Not a thing.
You could probably order from Australia, but good luck at that. Because I don't think there's a whole lot here either.
Yeah, we have them in America, but we're America.
Get those microprocessors factories going already.
They're working on it. They're building them in Florida.
They are building them. So yeah. Was there anything else, or was that basically it? We're just kind of shooting the shit at this point.
Yeah, Monster Hunter was the news this week, and that's what we were playing. So it also ate the weeks.
So good. Not without its flaws, but so good.
I mean, it's a Monster Hunter game. It's more or less what I expected it to be, but it's not any less than I wanted it to be, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes my inner caveman happy.
Yeah, no matter what they do with it, and I'll still play it because it's Monhun, and I like Monhun with some of the decisions in the early game.
Yeah.
Eventually, they will stop mattering because we'll be well past the early game.
And we don't need to listen to little annoying kid anymore.
Yeah, I'm already sick of random brown child.
I'll take the new handler.
Why is this kid my problem?
New handler's cute at least.
Yeah, it's like as soon as I was fighting my first chicken, first monster with a tail, and I cut the tail off and I'm go back to fighting the chicken, and Elma's like, "Don't forget to carve the tail," and I'm like, "Marry me, Elma."
Yes. The best bit about Alma, though, is she will shut up.
And she's not nearly as yappy. She does like to come out with you on hunts, I've noticed. She'll pull up her bird dog and come right alongside you.
Yeah, and she'll kind of hang around in the periphery of the fight and gather materials and pick up the occasional
and tell me to carve the tail.
And remind you to carve the tail. Oh, dear. But yeah, significantly better handler.
Yeah.
I'm glad someone at Capcom took notice of basically everyone's opinion.
The felines having actual language, that was too much, and before the game even made it past the character creation screen, I turned that crap off.
I tried it with just the meows, but I found the meows more annoying.
I pitched up my cat's meow.
Yeah, okay. I
Make
pitched down the voice.
Well, mine's name is Charlotta, so it felt appropriate.
Your cat is a racist.
She is forever pure, though.
Yes.
The
But also forever racist.
The Palico is the one MVP of the story, though. Like every scene they show up in, that they steal the show in the story, or they actually get to do something. I love the Hunter's Palico. The one redeeming part of the story.
The other Palicos seem kind of retarded, like with the meat that the chicken wanted.
Yeah, but they've always been like that.
But our cat is like, nah, I'm here.
I'm gonna do something awesome. Watch me.
Fear not, citizens, for I am here. Yeah.
Yeah. Keeps the puns to a minimum, thankfully.
I like this Palico. Can I keep this one? I do not like how I cannot customize this Palico's gadgets and wonder repeatedly if a quest is going to require me to trap something if this thing's going to screw me up.
Yeah. Oh, hey, there's a random otter guy down in here.
I haven't worked out how the Palico decides what to do at any point. Like, it just seems to pick random things. Like, sometimes you're desperate for health and it just is, no, not healing.
The only thing I can tell about its AI is it does not seem to do the Vigor Wasp unless you are missing about at least 33% of your HP. But otherwise, it seems to be totally random what the heck it does.
I'm pretty sure it's triggered by me using a Mega Potion.
Almost certainly, yes.
Oh, yeah.
I've noticed it does tend to be a bit dumb about when it throws down shock traps, though.
It'll go pick them back up and use them again sometimes. Sometimes.
Sometimes.
If it drops it right when the monster leaves, it'll go, oh, I better go get the trap.
Yeah. But the trap, I think, otherwise expires or it gets back to it half the time. I have noticed, though, it tends to drop them more often right before the monster becomes trappable. And then it won't drop it again after that.
Yeah. But thankfully one paralysis isn't enough to stop the trapping if you use a paralysis trap. But also, I mentioned this to Vaul earlier. I think I mentioned it before the show, actually. They have upped the drop rate significantly for carving in regards to things like gems and plates and the rare materials you use to trap for in World.
Oh, good.
So it's actually, if you're aiming for those, it appears to be very slightly more efficient to kill the monster. Well, at least you're probably not more efficient if you're running multiple runs back to back because trapping will still be a little bit faster. But the drop rates will be much better than they were anyway. And I generally don't like to trap the monster. I prefer to kill it. So that's that. The only reason you really would go out of your way to trap stuff is if you need things like frost sacks or thunder sacks. You know, the stuff you can't get from Carvin that's dropped across multiple monster decks.
Yeah.
So that's all we got, I think. Before I send this out, y'all got anything else?
Nope.
So,
all right.
What in the heck is a dapper wing?
A very fancy bird.
Oh, it's in the forest.
I know it's in the forest. The quest text says so.
I found mine sitting on a ledge way up on top of the mountain.
Shiguma just destroyed my camp.
Okay.
How rude.
Just leave the camp alone for 5 hours and it'll fix itself for free.
It costs like, what, 10 points to fix it manually?
It costs like 300 points to fix it.
Okay.
But you can just leave it alone for like an hour and it'll fix itself.
The cat there will actually do its job.
Mm-hmm. So,
it doesn't do anything else.
All right. I think that about wraps it, folks. We will go ahead and call it there, then. Email topic of the week is Monster Hunter Wilds. I mentioned a few things I'm concerned about with the game and things that I'm missing. Do you have anything of that nature, or are you just having fun with the game and want to sing its praises? Write to us in an email and let us know. All right, folks. Double checking to make sure that's everything because it feels awfully slack that this entire show is on one topic, but them breaks sometimes. Nope. All right. We will see you next week. Sayonara. Bye-bye.